Every Friday evening, tune into radio's hottest talk show, bringing you the realest, uncensored conversations with the boldest man on the net, LanceScurv.
Private/public conversation we're having right now. Again, but we have to say ladies first. And Brother Ison, back. We do have lines open. This is supposed to be private, and they've been very nice on this because we could have recorded this. Open, but if you come in, you have to be quiet because this is going to be, they'll let you talk, but this might be 20 minutes, 15 minutes. It might, I don't think so. But it's just something I have to say to the both of you. Just thanks for coming on. You know my addiction of great conversation and sharing great conversations. And, you know, the funny thing is, you had reached out to me, Jasmine, a little earlier. Brother Ison, they called me, and then you hit me on Facebook, and I'm like, wait a second. Swirling around. I got to harness this. You know, it would be selfish of me to talk to both of you one at a time or even just on the collective and not share it with the world because you all are such dynamos of truth. And so I feel good about that. So this is the first time you all are talking. We don't know what we're going to talk about, but you know what? Speaking truth, power, unity, and liberation into existence, because being here together with me, I feel all of those things. And I want to say to you both righteously that I love you both.
Love you too, man.
Thank you.
Yeah, we love you too, man.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Love coming from this side.
It's a wonderful thing. I just want to put in there and just say something else. I'm in front of the screen. Of course, you know, I can't rub my nose the wrong way. Everybody's seeing me. I just want to hit a certain button over there. Just give me 8 seconds and I'll be right back.
Okay.
8 seconds, yo. That's all I ask. 8 seconds.
8 seconds. Are you counting?
Yeah. You know what? I think we're going to have to get like 20 seconds here. Hold on. You know, people say, LanceScurv. I said, no, I'm not that mighty. I'm like the Wizard of Oz. I got a lot of levers and little buttons and gadgetry around. I'm just a regular dude, you know? But
right. Hey, tell him Superman on Insure.
There you go. There you go. There you go. Say it again.
Keep flying, right?
Okay, there is an echo. Somebody told me there's an echo. I can't have an echo here. There's a reason why. Did I leave something open down here? Okay. Hold on. Yeah, this is a homemade situation here, but you know what? We're going to get the truth out. Okay, let's deal with that. Maybe, yeah, there is an echo, a slight echo. I'm going to let a little time go by. I'm not going to break the flow of how we feel right now, but I will be messing around with that. I'm going to let it roll. I just want to say off the top that it was reported to me that for the most part, those send out a notification and the live shows don't. Some have received notifications when I do the live shows. My channel is severely compromised, you know, with hits and all that stuff. We know that part, but they're playing games with people who speak out and speak independently. And I'm not saying I'm all that, but collectively across, they look for certain keywords. And with all the things that are going on right now, it just seems so funny that they would let the ratchet fights go, let the sexually suggestive stuff, the ignorant stuff go. They want to corral and herd us in, not only to thinking this way, but they want the world to see us this way, to us speaking out on certain issues that the so-called mainstream Zionist media, you know, doesn't share. They have to keep our voice quiet because they'll see the other side of the story. And yes, I'm kind of hearing this echo also. It was asked of me by Jeffrey Lopez, how are you, my brother? Simply Deep. Nicole, yes, we're back. Where's Brother Rassam Delay? They've been messing with his page, and I believe they shut it down. about me. I'm running my mouth again. You know, I got that crazy energy with a dash of Alzheimer's in there, so it can go anywhere. So, you know, Jasm, brother Isan, Jasm, I want you to say something first and kick this off like they say ladies first, right? How do you feel about these missing sisters out here or missing girls? That seems to be...
Well, I'm just going to start it off by saying that, you know, this is an example of not even just the hypocrisy of the United States, but it's also showing that first, as a people of culture, we've been practiced on first, okay? Now, when it comes down to missing, you know, we think of that over the years. That's happened to slaves, you know, murder, that kind of thing or whatever. And then, of course, when it start happening later, then it's like, oh my God, you know, something's going on. Well, it goes back to you didn't care when it was happening to Black people, but now you care. We go back to what you were speaking on earlier as far as the censorship. When it was happening to the Black Panthers and everyone else, oh no, no one cared then. You know, then all of a sudden, when it's getting censored and all these apolitical people, then oh my God, you know, it's a conspiracy. It's on every channel and every station, you know, and people have to understand we were like test dummies. Stuff actually start coming out. So I think that, you know, I kind of laugh because I listened to you and Brother Isam's conversation, the recording, and you were saying about your show, your episode about how, you know, like the, you know, I always like to refer to it as the COINTELPRO in the hood. Like you were saying about how, like, you know, you see the person who, you know, this person, you'll see them all the time, but then, you know, you sit back and you watch their mannerisms. I tell people all the time, the things that you notice, you'll notice them, certain things, depending on what stage of life or what your occupation is, when you become more conscious versus when you're asleep. You know, you'll sit back when you're a kid, teenager, you don't care what that quote unquote homeless person or bum is doing. As you get older, you're kind of like, wow, you grow wild and look like you haven't missed a meal.
Right. The hair is all lined up and cut right. They might look stink, but they got cologne on. You know what I mean? It's funny.
And you know what was funny is because being from Flint, Michigan, I was like younger, you know, I would say about 16, 17, you know, I didn't have a problem talking to whether it be homeless people or quote unquote people on drugs, AKA crackheads. and I didn't have a problem having a conversation because a lot of times if they're high in paranoia, they'll tell you everything. And you'll sit back and know which dude is in the hood selling dope, which dude is the informant. You know that kind of stuff.
Yes.
But and that's the thing, at 16, 17 years old, I wanted to know that stuff because I was damn nosy. You know, but as I went to more, you know, whether it's you know, kind of military, federal government, got to see things from a different perspective, I started seeing like, oh, okay, well, maybe she wasn't talking out of the window paranoid because she was high. Maybe she really did know that new bum on the block who was an informant, you know? And so you get to see it from a new vision, just a new standpoint. But you know, it's like I used to have a friend that used to always tell me, older lady, she used to always say, you know, same game, different players. You know, and that's the thing. It's like nothing that's happening now is nothing new. It's just that it's expanded. Look at an example of the crack era. Nobody cared. Crack was dumped in the inner cities. You have strung out. Here comes the opioids. Here comes the Oxycontin, the Percocet, and then of course the soccer moms who's getting high off their kids' Adderall. of course, it turns into speed for adults, but all of a sudden it's like, oh my God, we have an epidemic. Well, why wasn't it an epidemic when crack was around the scenes in the 80s, 90s? And let's not forget heroin in the 60s and 70s.
Tell it.
That's right.
Tell it.
But once again, it's never important from people of color. And I'm just here saying that, as a woman of color, I am beyond disappointed in people that are above me, people like who are much older than me, sat back and either resign themselves to fear or for comfort. I can excuse and appreciate fear, because when you're in your family, you have kids, I get that. But when you're sitting back and selling your people down the river just because you want to be able to have not even a seat at the table, but crawling on the floor to get some crumbs that's thrown to you, that's what I find that appalling.
Yeah.
There are more people who, I would say younger people, who are more fearful because they know, our government's a beast. It's out of control. It just was allowed to be out of control. But no one sat back and said, hey, well, I believe in strength in numbers. When you have people trying to step up and do the right thing, they weren't coming with the right force of numbers. So therefore, they were getting knocked off here and there, here and there. But until we, as a culture, stand with a conscience of no sellout, coming with a force to be reckoned with, we will be unstoppable.
Say it.
And that's my take.
I agree with that.
It's just too much. I sit back and I see, you got people now exposing things from the federal government side, exposing things that's happening to non-people of color. And, oh my God, it's so offensive. Oh my God, Becky, if they sat back and gave Becky's information out, now the world knows she blew the whistle. It's been happening to Black people undercover. It's like, come on now. Do you really think that if the president of the United States wanted to have somebody do something, that he gonna sit back and write it down? Come on now. This dude ain't gonna pick up the phone and call and say, hey, you know what? Hey, brother Isom, I want you to go over there, just check him out. No, you guys are gonna go play golf, and you're gonna know how it's gonna go down. Or what was the judge said? Many decisions are made over fishing.
Absolutely.
So that shows you just even our court system is set up for a failure, because at the end of the day, it's about who you know.
Yes, it is.
And people don't want to talk about that. I mean, like brother, you up there in Chicago. Oh my God. I mean, are you we're talking about, I'm not saying that Chicago's the most corrupt state in the US, but hell, they up there with the top 10.
Yeah, they are.
I mean, I'm talking about, how do you have, just Google, look how many nonprofits are in the state of Illinois. Look at how many nonprofits and churches, make sure you add churches on that list, are in different states. Why do we have so much a homeless population? We have young kids who you already know from their behavior and their mannerisms, they're going to be older kids that can't read.
That's right.
And that's the thing, but the system is designed that way. And until we, as a culture, and realize that in the design, we're the only race, we're the whole people of color are meant to lose. I mean, but people want to, they don't want to address that. They don't want to talk about that because they become creatures of comforts for their BMWs, for their $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 houses.
That's right. That's very true.
But that's all I got to say about that.
Ain't nobody telling you to stop, sister.
Yeah, no.
I want to get Brother Isom in here because I heard him deep. I want to get him in there because, I could talk about corruption all day.
Yeah, well, I mean, we got a system that's in place, and I don't want to be negative, because people first thing say, "Oh, you're being negative," but the whole thing about Black people coming together, it's not going to ever work in the United States because there is an active system basically in place to keep us separate. So until we understand that, there's a lot of efforts that have been canceled. I mean, if you look at all the Black leaders that came before, I mean, Marcus Garvey, Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, list goes on and on. They've all been systematically taken out. And what I see as far as, especially like with Martin Luther King, a lot of white people give Martin Luther King, they put him on a pedestal, and he's the Black leader of Black people. And when you really look at what Martin Luther King did, they used Martin Luther King.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They used Martin Luther King to integrate us when we actually had something at a time. I mean, you can go to Chinatown, you see the Asian people. However you look at it, it's segregation, but they have something. They stick together. You go in the Hispanic community, they have something. You go in the white area, they have something. Exactly. And so we're the only culture here that we are cultureless. We live our lives like substitute white people in America. And it's
knock off white people, right?
I mean, I'm laughing, but you're right, because it's sad.
It's very sad, but we don't even identify with ourselves. You know what I mean? Your picture of Jesus is white. Your leaders are white, and it's like, if you go to any other culture, think about it. If you switch places, would that ever happen? Would you ever go in a white person's house and they got pictures of Black people on their wall, and they say, "Oh, that's my God is Black"? You know what I mean? This is not.
If it's racial dolezal, you might see it that way.
Yeah. Ian Brock. Yeah,
but I think that at some point, I mean, I just went to a meeting a couple of weekends ago, and they were, talking about this project where this it's called the LanceScurv project, and they like sponsoring some people over Africa. Well, I have the luxury of knowing people that's from Africa and people who actually have distant family members. They still go visit there. And I asked the question, like, look, and you could tell it was kind of like the record stopper because my question is serious. And I tell people, and I look at things negative, I look at it as being honest. I said, I've spoken with people of pure, African descent, and they're not fond. And I wouldn't say many because I don't want to paint with a brush, but a majority I spoke with, they're not fond of the way African Americans have been brainwashed from North America.
Yeah.
But see, people don't want to talk about that. They'll just say, "Come on back to the motherland." Wait a minute, I'm killed in a bush over there. Versus here, I got to come out my house for you to get me. I mean, but people don't want to talk about that. And there's nothing wrong with them feeling that way. There is absolutely nothing wrong with them feeling that way. But I don't think that we, as quote unquote, Black people being raised in North America, are willing to just accept that there's a certain level of indoctrination that we're indoctrinated to a point where we have to be able to say, okay, if I'm willing to go somewhere, embrace another culture, move forward, move on, then I have to let go of what I know.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
And that's hard because you've been doing that for, I'm 42, been doing my life, and however I do my life at 42, I consider myself pretty adaptable, but for the most part, I'm spoiled.
Mm-hmm.
You go over there,
right.
I mean, these people like working hours. I'm like, wait a minute, 8 to 4. Like I said, I was killed in the bush somewhere.
No, I don't say that.
But I think that at some point, it's a realization to say, you know what? hey, in order for us to prosper or to be able to come as a collective, we probably need to move away from this country.
We do.
And that's in all honesty and all fairness, because when you look at it, I have seen the best of people where the system is not only designed not to help them, but to demonize them.
That's
you
right.
know, look at, you're saying, Lance, you're getting your stuff censored, but yet out there, I've seen on Twitter sphere, Facebook, they're talking about, you know, Donald Trump, grab him by the pussy, not a problem.
Yeah, you see? Right. You know, exactly.
You got fight videos out there, people getting stabbed.
Millions of views.
A guy strapped some firecrackers around himself and set him off. Which I'm kind of shocked by that. Like, you must have been high. Who does that? But that's the kind of stuff that's a total foolishness is being allowed, because it's part of the indoctrinated sense of where our government, how to control the global elite, want to keep us asleep.
Yeah, they do. Distraction.
Always. It's always deflection, then the distraction.
That's right. And if they raise you up as a black person, if you're being championed in the media, they can hang you. I mean, when I look at Bill Cosby, that's a very scary story, because here's a person who was not convicted of anything. These are all accusations. And based on accusations, 35-year-old accusations, this man has lost awards. He's lost TV show. They won't ever show his show anymore. He's lost his credibility and his image.
It's terrible.
That really shows me, that shows me.
Well, don't you think, but don't you think that was how should I say this? I believe that when he was accused, especially with the oldest case, I believe that he controlled that narrative, and he allowed that narrative to drop because he thought it was going to go away. Because number one, and Lance, me and you've talked about that before, about the filthy files.
Yeah.
You know, J. Edgar Hoover was probably the center of the filthy files. It's like, you know what? Hey, oh my God, you know, they sit there and make sure that they know what you're doing, have somebody follow you. Now, you know, the computer, I think you guys spoke about that, how we just open ourselves up to the world. So it's like, oh, he's sitting there looking at porn. Oh my God, and see, and the thing is, controlling the narrative is like, oh, Brother Isa, you know, you don't want it to come out, you looking at porn. You could be like, you know what? Yeah, I looked at it, jacked off, and guess what?
Yes.
Here we are.
Yes, right. Yes, exactly. I'm glad a sister said it. That is so wonderful that you understand. They're fascinated with us sexually, number one. That's why they try to use that as a thing.
That's how you control your narrative. Let me tell you something. If I was married, and if I cheated on my spouse, I would sit back, and if they sat there and said, you know, Janelle, we don't want to put it out there that you cheat on your spouse, I'd be like, and I hope you got the nice close-up shot when I was riding him so well.
There you go. There you go.
To the public.
There you go.
If you're going to sit there and if you're going to put me out there and make me the greatest porn star lookalike that you can.
That's right. That's right.
That's how you control your narrative, because what it is that when they control you out of fear, you lose.
That's right.
That's right. And you take the power away when you do it yourself and you say, you know what? Yeah, I did do this, I did do that. But with Bill Cosby, it was a little deeper than that, because they used him. I mean, the timing was what told the whole story. He had a show just about to premiere, and they wanted to stop that premiere because it was a black show. Basically a continuation of like the Cosby Show, but it was going to empower young adult black people. That. So it's funny, right before the premiere, that's when they came with all these charges and all these claims about, what he did something to me 35 years ago. I mean, think about that though. How can you prove? I mean, anybody could say, 35 years ago you looked at me wrong. It's like, how can you go back 35 years to prove that someone did something. You know what I mean?
But have you ever asked
Mm-hmm.
asked the question of why is it? Because like I've heard you and other people, say that was about a show that he was coming out with. And I guess my question is to you is, why is it that Bill Cosby, even though he's gone through more than one attorney, I think he's gone through two, why is it that he hasn't came out and said that?
He's trying to be smart.
Because that's my whole thing. Well, but think about it. In this country, you're guilty before you're innocent, and
right.
you're judged by the court of public opinion. Okay, now this is the thing. When Bill Cosby came out and remained silent, didn't want to do the deposition, but you had all these women saying this is what happened, however many years ago, blah 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 blah. At what point in the court of public opinion do you sit back and say, okay, well, this is a man back in the 70s that was, talking about Black people and being in Africa and being enslaved. And this is a man who, kind of came up through the ranks or whatever. Why is it that he's, not saying, hey, I know where this is stemming from?
Mm-hmm.
I know,
well,
you see what I'm saying? What is, to me, it's kind of like, if that's what it is, if you're saying, if you're persecuting me because I'm trying to uplift my people, why wouldn't he say that?
Right. Well, you got to look at, I observe things, a lot more than, the average person probably does. And I just notice any Black image of excellence, they always tear it down. Like, the list just, it's amazing. Like, anybody who has a great record, they don't die with their wealth or they don't die with their image intact. Look at Muhammad Ali. Look how they poisoned him and had him just look horrible. You know what I'm saying? They tried to say it was Parkinson's or whatever, but they had several attempts on his life.
They couldn't have him talking.
He did drugs, and they couldn't catch him up.
Right.
And you see how he died. Look at Michael Jackson. Look how they destroyed him, and now his wealth is in the hands of white children that are not even biologically related.
But don't you put that? I put that blame. When I say blame, I put that blame at the feet of the Black people that have the power to speak out. Because you know why? When someone's talking about Bill Cosby, now this is my thing, whether he did it or didn't, but before you could go after Bill Cosby, let's talk about Mick Jagger. Let's talk about Roman Polanski, who's still able to make movies, who's still getting awards and accolades. But guess what? We don't want to talk about them after him. Where are the powerful people that's going to be speaking out on his behalf to say that?
They're bought and paid for.
Yeah, exactly.
Because it's their media. That's the only issue we have in America. We don't have a voice. When you watch TV, it's 90% of the channels are white. All the news stations are white. There is no Black outlet on a national level where we have a voice. And if you go on their media, they're going to censor you. They're going to cut you off. And if you're not speaking what they want you to say, you won't get much airtime.
That's right.
So that's the issue we're facing. We are people that we can't express our opinions without getting persecuted. And, like I said, it's any Black person is a threat if your image is excellent. That's why you look at Bill Cosby. He was a standard for wholesomeness. You know what I mean? Even more than white men. So they had to destroy him before the end of his career. And don't think that Michael Jordan nobody is safe.
Oh, yeah. But, Oprah Winfrey, she hobnobbed with the elitists, the global.
Oh, that doesn't mean nothing. Yeah, see, it's
America's favorite mammy.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Now, and you can kiss up to him, but what I'm saying is with Bill Cosby, he was in with a lot of elitists too. He was very well acquainted, very well.
Oh yeah, because look at him. They're talking about the one case with the 15-year-old. Okay, let's say you were at the Playboy Mansion. Who's to say, number one, you knew how old that child was, and number two, what's up with Hugh Hefner? That wasn't at his house. Shouldn't he been policing people at the door?
Why is he not in the media?
Thank
You know what
you.
I'm saying? Why don't they mention a lot of things? Like even in Chicago, it's so many news stories that don't come up. That's what I'm saying. That's the tragedy. The news controls what they want to talk about. Like Rahm Emanuel, he's the mayor of Chicago, and his father is a terrorist. You can look this up.
Oh yeah. Oh
His
yeah.
father is was part of a group called the Irgun in the Middle East, and they were a terrorist group, and they don't mention that. Oh, they just somehow they can investigate everybody, but you don't know that this man's not his grandfather, but his father was a terrorist, and he's the mayor. Then you have other stories like, you know, people coming up in the media who they just ignore. You know what I mean? It's blatant. You know what I mean? Like, think about it. You know how many satanic groups it is in the United States? I never hear of any murder stories or police stories in the news about a satanic murder. You don't hear about that.
Well, that's because once they kill the body, they do organ harvesting and everybody get paid that knows about it.
And they're not going to tell on themselves. Right. They're not going to tell on themselves.
They're part of that group.
Right.
Exactly. Because the eye, the CBS, their eye and all that, that's the logo. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
They're all
that
together.
all
You'll never hear them. Exactly. That they stole from us, actually. But part of their Masonic groups and things, if you look at the news, and I've noticed this. Now, you can go on YouTube, you can go anywhere. Everybody knows about the word Illuminati. No news station ever says the word Illuminati.
Isn't that something?
You see what I'm saying?
That's so true.
Another thing is, you never hear any stories about if the police are so real and, you know, not corrupt. I've never heard of a story of a cop turning in or arresting another cop. And all of this time, nobody has done anything wrong. Huh? You know
well, you know what? I've seen them turn in cops, but I've never seen the cops being held accountable, because I actually follow a guy who his mother and father, his name is Joe Crystal, his mother and father, I believe, were retired police officers. And he actually turned the guy in because he was beating the crap out of this guy, and I think broke the guy's arm or whatever. And guess what? Do you have the unions who allowed the police force to unleash on this guy? You know,
but
and that's what I'm saying.
They don't nationalize that though.
So, but that's what I'm saying. Just even look at the whole, when they were talking about Barack Obama and the war on whistleblowers. Why do you think it's the war on whistleblowers? Because the people on the inside is trying to tell people what's going on in the inside, and the people in the higher up beyond Congress, all these, you know, Masons, you know, shush groups or whatever, Kabbalah, you know, the Kabbalah people, all these people are just keeping it quiet and contained. And guess what? It allowed them to just unleash and go after these whistleblowers. I actually just spoke to one not too long ago, and here he was, did factual evidence and everything. At the end of the day, he ended up having to do 2 years. And he still owed his attorneys $880,000. So explain to me, these whole quote unquote whistleblower laws, weren't they supposed to protect him? When you can prove that you've gone to senators, these Congress people, and even to the White House, when you can prove that, and then you linked it to a reporter, why are you doing time? Why are you still owing legal fees when they're supposed to be? I tell people all the time, those laws are only written for peasants. Because remember, only peasants supposed to follow it. Look at Hillary Clinton. How much money has she embezzled, her and her husband?
Right.
No one wants to talk about that.
They're not going to talk. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. The news is very, it's amazing how much stuff they just ignore and they never talk about. And that is very worrying. Yeah, it is.
And it's on purpose.
You know, because I look at stories like, lost my thought. Basically, it's so many times I look at the news and I'm saying, how are they ignoring something so large? Like, think about, like, with the police, right? The police, it does not. Well, I know at least in Chicago, it does not say public police. And see, and that's what we don't understand. Police, it's a fraternal order.
Yep.
Fraternal order means
Of police.
it's
That's
a fraternity.
Right. Yep.
So, right. So they're not here to protect us. They're here to protect rich people. See what I'm saying? The people in power.
Yep. They're here to protect the alumni.
That's right.
And it says serve and protect, but it doesn't say serve and protect you. It says serve and protect ... So
I think the best example, have you ever seen that movie, The Shawshank Redemption? And when the part where the guy said he meets the warden out there, he said he saw who knew who did it, who actually killed Andy Dufresne's wife and boyfriend or whatever, and framed him for the murder. And the warden sat back and asked him, "Are you willing to testify that and put your hand on the Bible and swear to it?" He said, "If I had that shot." The warden said, "Thank you," walked away. The sniper shot him, killed him. That's reality.
Mm-hmm.
Look at all these people, coming up dead. Who was the guy who his BMW slammed into a tree and just combust?
From
was it Seth?
PYT?
Was it Seth Rich? No, Hastings. His last name was Hastings. He was the one that, and I tell people all the time, see, this is, if you sit back and have some stuff, you better sit back with your eyes bucked like Scooby-Doo and keep it to yourself until you go to your destination.
Yeah, well,
he was like, "Oh, I got some information on Hillary Clinton on the DNC and blah, blah." Next thing you know, his BMW slammed into a tree and combust.
That's the problem. The problem is that right there. If you have information, come forward with information. Don't make a preface and say, "I have information," because then they're going to put themselves out there and they get you. Just come with it, because then they can't stop you. You see what I'm saying?
But remember, back in the day, that's what used to keep people alive. But now they're killing you. It doesn't matter, because if you remember the guy who talked about he actually was the whistleblower for the Nixon thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
He sat back and went to a reporter. What did I forget, was it Deep Throat or something like that? When he actually snuffed his stuff to the reporter, and guess what? And the reporter respected his identity and maintained his silence. These days, our media works with the people in Congress and everything. So
yep.
At the end of the day, when you go into the media, you trying to do it to protect yourself. They're part of the corporate elite corruption.
That's right.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's right.
It's all one.
It's all people that use that because they thought like, "Hey, that would protect me. If I sit back and do this, I'm protected." No, you just put a target on your back.
Right. If you're gonna do it right. And if you're gonna pull out, this is what I say: if you're gonna pull out a gun, take the shot. Don't pull out a gun and say, "Yeah, I'm gonna shoot this gun." That's what people do when they, If you're gonna pull it out, take the shot. You know what I mean? Because now we don't have that information.
Just like this coming Thursday, I'm gonna bust a move, but I'm not saying where. It's a local thing, and I'm gonna surprise some people. I just got an order from one of my bosses to be a media hitman, so I'm gonna do it on Thursday, and I'm gonna get some footage and stuff, and they're not gonna expect me to be there, and I'm gonna have credentials, right? But I'm not saying where. You know what I mean? I'll pull it up afterward, and I'll tell you what it's all about. But these people here down here, they're so diabolical, as they are across the whole country. So you're going to have to move the way you need to move, because they will have meetings are open to the public, and they will have people who are setting up things to gentrify a neighborhood, or a neighborhood that's like 95% gentrified already, and just say, well, they won't put it out there. And after it's over, well, we told everybody, we put it here, we put it there, but they put it in places where we wouldn't find it.
The law says that as long as they announce it, it didn't say they have to announce it widely. They just said they could bury it in a newspaper, because they know people don't read newspapers hardly anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But they're covered by the law as long as they announce it. Now, what kind of crap is that?
The law is made.
It's designed for them to win.
The problem, we look at the detail. This is what trips us up, just in general. we were always looking at the details and we never looked at the source. The people who wrote these laws are the same people who had slaves. These are the same people who raped, lynched, killed, and abused our not so far relatives that we call ancestors now. And they also came over and stole this country from the native people of this land, murdered them, genocide. And on top of that, they built a country. And then they set themselves up. These are the same people who did this. They set themselves as judges. They set themselves as lawmakers. So when you understand that's what we're dealing with, then you understand that the issue is more than just the details. We'll never get through a law that was set up by the same people who committed genocide.
But and the sad part about it is, but we can. But the extreme that we must go to, we're not ready for that.
Well, we're outnumbered here. Population. You know what I'm saying? Or even less than that. So we got to leave this. We'd have to separate. And that's what I'm saying. We're paying the effects now because of Martin Luther King. I know everybody loves Martin Luther King, but
no, it's the truth.
The truth.
We are. It's just basically it was a cry to say, "Oh, I want to be with the white people who killed my relatives and my great grandmother and beat us and hanged us. And I want to be around. I want to hold hands and walk down the street with the oppressor." This is what the "I Have a Dream" speech was really saying, and I'm saying that in essence, if you look at it from that perspective, that's the wrong idea. That's just like if we were in Germany and we were and let's say a law came and we're trying to get respect from the Nazis. Oh, I want to hang out with the Nazis. My relatives. Yeah. And I can walk down the street with the people who did this.
I want to drink some Jaeger with the Nazis.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So he has a monument because of that.
But don't you think that, and this is my thing, this is how I feel about the Martin Luther King versus, and I always say versus the Malcolm X. I believe that we would have came on top as people had they would have sat back and they would have blended their concepts. Because I don't have a problem with Martin Luther King having and his cause and his feeling was noble. I don't have a problem with him believing like, hey, you know what? We could sit back and be respectful of one another regardless of our skin color. But I also respect the concept of Malcolm X. You know, the best part in the movie was when the young college girl, the white college girl comes up to him and said, you know, hey, I really believe in your cause. Is there anything I could do? And he was like, no. He wasn't rude or whatever, but the thing is that we have to have something for ourselves. And I believe had that concept been blended, it would have been not only brilliant, but it would have been beneficial to us as a culture.
Absolutely.
But see, there were so many, back to you guys earlier conversations about the whole, you know, informants and people being thrown in the middle. You got people that's telling Martin Luther King, oh, you know, Malcolm X is violent. You don't want to be with that nigga. He's violent.
Yeah, right.
He's trying to do that.
Right.
And you got the people over in Malcolm X ear like, oh, you know, Martin Luther King, he a pussy. I'm sorry.
No, you can say it. And you can say asshole too if you want to.
Well, it's like, you know, they're saying, oh, he's weak. You know, he want to sit back. He want to be able to eat with the white folks and yada, yada, yada. But at the end of the day, I think that the blended concept would have worked because regardless to what anybody may feel about Martin Luther King, the man, this is a man who was seeing people being killed and murdered, and he was desperate to stop it.
Yeah, but he had
exactly.
good intentions. Like you said, he did have good intentions. But whenever white people support you, because I got pictures, Martin Luther King, it's white agents protecting him. And I said, you know, hey, white people don't, or they don't support you unless it's for a bigger cause. They're they're finally coming around. They're gonna help us out. But no, they were using him to be the spokesperson to get us to basically stand down. You know what I'm saying? And to just, like he said, turn the other cheek. Because Malcolm X, they had to take him out. You know what I'm saying?
Well, because right, exactly, because
like
they
the
were
Black
like,
Panthers.
by any means necessary. But even
necessary.
with Martin Luther King, he would have, the whole time he was going. Because remember, it wasn't John F. Kennedy he was going to; it was Bobby. He was going to Robert Kennedy. And the funny part about it is, if you pull the archives, tap on Martin Luther King, it was Robert Bobby Kennedy.
Wow.
Right.
The Attorney General.
Right. Well, you got to also know the Black Panthers. Guy, Huey Newton, he was an agent. You see what I'm saying? He was working for the government the whole time. So they have sabotaged every
before or
black
after
movement.
he went to prison?
No, this is the whole time. When he joined, he went in as an agent. You see what I'm saying? So they do things to sabotage groups, and it's funny. All the leaders of the Black Panthers. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So just look at the list of the history, something proactive in this country, and you will see a long list of dead people who have been dying peacefully. I'm talking about murder, shot in the head. So it's like, how do we continue to ignore that and go with the same approach? We'd have to separate. That's the only way, because you know what I mean?
But remember what I said about the indoctrinated mindset, because think about this, and I want both of you as Black men to think about this and be honest. We sat back. We've been so indoctrinated in the way that North America's run. If we separated and did our own thing, we can't get past our egos. We would not sit back and understand how to have be able to maneuver with power, because absolute power corrupts absolutely. And I believe that we have sat back and we have witnessed a regime of evil and corruption going down through decades and generations, that even if we were to get the power.
Yeah. We would, if we were to separate, my feeling is that, we've adopted a Eurocentric way of thinking now.
That's right.
We have the skin, we have the passion to a point when we are hurt collectively, sustain that feeling. We only sustain it when we're in that rage, but when the weekend comes, we're back to business as usual, to the Chinese food joint, bringing our money to the Korean hair joint, shucking and jiving and popping our fingers until it happens again. But it's like trying to make a fire, rubbing two stones together with birch bark on a windy day. It might almost catch, but after a while it just dissipates. And we've got to get past that. And that thing that's holding our rocket from going up into the atmosphere is the ego and that way of thinking. We have so many ways of being separated. And I won't go down the whole list, because the list pretty much is endless. And we look for ways to be different, or I'm not saying anybody here or in the chat room, ways to be separate, because we want to separate ourselves subconsciously to appeal to our oppressor. So we're always looking for ways to separate, and they know this. I remember when I was in bodybuilding many years ago, and a gentleman who ran a particular magazine was telling me why I was a better look to get on the back cover of this magazine. Now, it wouldn't have made it on the front as a teenager, but he was trying to suit me up, because in actuality, he wanted sexual favors, and he must not have known I don't get down like that. But they know how to come at us, because he knew what he wanted, my ego, counting on the fact that I'll just do anything to please this white man because he can do something for me. No, the whole thing must be rejected. It's almost like, and I'll leave this last analogy, growing up in an apartment building that has nothing but roaches. I mean, roaches everywhere. You spray, it starts raining roaches. I've visited friends and had friends like that. When they start spraying, I'm out because I'm not bringing any roaches home. So now these same people that have the habits that sustain having the roaches, they feel good now that they're moving somewhere where there are no roaches. Oh, girl, we're going to move into an apartment building and there ain't no roaches. It's all new. There's no cracks. There's no roaches. It's clean. Has none. Well, guess what? When you pack your bags and bring your boxes to the new apartment, you want to act shocked that you're sitting there in this clean living room and you see roaches. You know why? You brought them with you. So we can physically move somewhere else, but then we're going to bring those same idiosyncrasies with us and start turning in on each other. So we better get well while we're here. See, leaving, right. But let's get ourselves straight in the worst of atmospheres here, that if we can walk straight for a time here and then come back and conquer the world.
Well, my thing is, I was just talking about what it would take, but realistically, I know it's not going to happen. It's a bigger thing at play going on.
Yes.
We're not going to go back to Egypt. We're not going to go back to Africa. We're not going to get together in a black movement. That's just wishful thinking at this point, because we're at a level right now where the world, we're closer to the end than we know.
Mm-hmm.
As far as the way things are going, and a lot of people, they're so want to accept it, but just look around. Like I said, look at the weapons that we have. Look at the capabilities that are lining up. That however you put it, in the next few years, things are not going to ever be the same. You know what I mean? And that's just what it is. I mean, the days of old are gone. It'll never be 1950 again. It'll never be 1975, 1990. That time is gone. We have the technologies here. The weapons are becoming astronomical with their capabilities to destroy.
Right.
So, they're not just sitting there for anything. And people, I mean, if you have any sense, you'll know. Eventually one of those are going to go off. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah, we got to kind of look at a little higher to what spiritually is going on, because there's no way we're going to take over in this country. Black people.
Right.
I mean, with the way things are going, I mean, even white people now are living like black people now.
Yeah.
They don't understand that because they're supposed to be so much better. And they're homeless. Mm-hmm.
But Brother Ison, I feel that it's not a matter of actually taking over land. We need to have land of our own. Don't get me wrong. Like we spoke the other day, we need to have land.
We do.
And as much as we can get, the whole thing. Let him run his world down. I think to conquer them, versus those who don't like us, those who want us wiped off the face of the earth, because folks are out there and there's somebody, oh yes, they're talking that nigga take over the world type stuff. We got them now. See, I think, and I feel that the way to beat them is to conquer ourselves. Like they say in Christianity, slay the spirit, slay yourself, you must die. I don't mean you personally or us personally, physically, but all those things that keep us attached to him, all those things that keep us apart from each other. If we walk amongst them and we conquer ourselves, there's nothing that they can do to us. Now, I know they can get a weapon and shoot us. I understand that part. But if we move wisely, of food that we put in our body, monitor everything that goes into our brain, that kind of food there. People sucking on CNN, sucking on Fox, sucking on headline news, fake news. That's fake news. See? So if we strain through everything and see each other as we should, but when we look at each other, there's a barrier between us. There's things in our head or our sister, we don't even have to know them, but we've been conditioned to look at them suspect. This is why when we have a black business opening up in the same neighborhood, black neighborhood, like a Korean or Asian, any other Asian business. Why? Because we have that thing where, oh, that shiny apple can't be as sweet as the Koreans. Yet the Koreans not going to cut us a break on anything. I don't mean a hookup, but they're not going to cut us a break and work with us as a community. So we got to kill that thing inside of us, and we got to conquer ourselves. There's no way that we're going to conquer our oppressor. Excellence and manifest those seeds of greatness righteously, not for ego, not for personal gain on a greed level. Because as we so beautifully said yesterday, from the system collectively, we take what we need. That's what it's for.
That's right.
If you need this, it's there for you. If you need more, it's there for you. It doesn't say, the mango tree doesn't say, well, you can only pick 3 mangoes. Hell, I'm 255 pounds. I might need to eat 8 mangoes. If the next brother's 135 pounds, he might need 2. We good. So full, right? So conquer ourselves, slay that thing that he dangles and we run for so much. That's why I was telling Brother Jack, not any of this stuff. I'm good. My bags are packed. I just happen to be here executing a plan. But they don't have me anymore. I just killed.
Yeah, well, you'd have to leave the system.
Oh, yeah. See, yes, I'm already out of, okay, I pay bills. I go to work here on the plantations, but I'm already out of it. It's like the slave who knows when midnight comes. So he's there. He's at the plantation. It's 4 o'clock in the afternoon. He's like, 8 more hours. I'm out of here. I'm not attached to this place. And I'm not attached to it. But I still will continue to seek things inside of me to slay, so that he can't have any chink in my armor to get a hold onto, like a person who's climbing up a smooth mountain and he's holding on to the cracks. You know what I mean? So you have to continually look within, meditate, and smack yourself sometime. You know, whip yourself sometime. I don't need this. There were some things that I was going to purchase, right, for the studio here. And I was going overboard. When I came to my senses, no, I don't need that right now. What I really need is this over that. It would be great, but let me be frugal and move sure-footedly and not put myself too much on the outs financially. Let me just do it slowly but surely, because progress is coming. So even on that level, on a good thing, I had to show a little composure. So I'm continually putting myself through checks, and this is why I do enjoy time alone. I love my people out here in the street. I'm probably going to go out in the street tonight with the video camera. If I can get 2 or 3 brothers up, we go out there and do some hood stuff tonight. But at the other side of it that people don't see, there's a lot of time spent alone. A lot of time spent alone. And we've got to learn how to do that. Get away from the noise. Get away from the gossip. This thing that we have in the form of a smartphone, if we put a 10-pound dumbbell on that wrist, our bicep in that arm will be huge. You know what I mean? Because we always holding on to it. But what are we getting out of it? We got to slay that sometime. Put that phone down for a day. You know, leave it low so if emergency comes through, but put it down. Slay that.
Yeah. Well, man, that's a lot to deal. I'm saying there's so many people right now. I'm saying is expecting, because what frustrates me is I say out of every 10 people, it's like 8 of them are just stupid. And I'm not disrespecting, but it's the truth. I talk to people and it brings me back to the reality. I'm like, no, there's no way that as a group we're going to ever be able to get this together from that standpoint when you have so many people who are just, they're just gone. You know what I'm saying? They have no thinking capacity. I mean, I understand, you know, it's good to do that, but I think more so we got to focus more on ourselves now.
Yeah.
And try to just erase the white supremacy, erase the mental brainwashing and programming, because that's what TV is. It's called programs, TV programs. We need to wash ourselves first. Then we'll have a mind to even group up and do this type of thing. Because right now, I'm just saying, we are us in more ways than you know.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And I think you covered that I think, Lance, you have a unique perspective, and you have to understand that your mind, and I've shared that with you before, because, it's like few people that I admire, and you're one of them. And the reason why is because you have that unique perspective to understand when you need to practice that restraint, to sit back and say, okay, you know what? Life's a balancing game. I'm getting off kilter. I kind of laugh because I think that unicycle is like the.
I thought this was about icing. Say what now?
I said that unicycle is like the best, to keep that balance in life.
Yeah.
Because I think that, it's just an example of what Brother Eisen was saying, that, people sit back and it's like, out of 10 people, you got 8 people that's like, it's like, oh my God, you're horrible, you're terrible, you're not trying to go anywhere. And it doesn't mean that they're a bad person. It just means that they're misguided or either being misdirected.
Right.
Like an example, brought it up just not too long ago. You got many people haven't heard about Kendrick Johnson getting killed at the school, rolled up in the mat. Then they had him with newspaper and when his organs gone. But yet, everybody in the world know about Sharkeisha. Everybody in the world know about the girl on Dr. Phil saying, "Catch me outside." How about that?
See?
Yeah.
Know that, but guess what? Know the other spectrum. Have a full view, a full spectrum on life.
Well, the problem is we live in a TV generation, and the problem with that is your brain is a computer. TV, they program information into your brain about what you should be worried about, what you should think, how you should see things. That's what the news is. The news is a narrative for you to see it how they want to show it to you. So whenever they put this garbage out here, guess what? Everybody's at home watching the TV, and that's what they see as the gospel.
Yeah.
They see that as the truth, and they don't question it. You know what I mean? And
or
so
God forbid
that's
you question them as to why they're not questioning it. Oh my God.
Coconut water.
Start a war.
Right.
Yeah, now I'm crazy. Oh, you're crazy.
Do you mind if I mention something about that as well? Sorry, I'm just jumping in.
Oh, no problem, Bernadette. Come on in.
Thank you.
From Canada, live in living color.
Hi, greetings. Thank you. And it's awesome, Lance, that you have this platform. Keep doing what you're doing. You're a powerful brother. I'm so proud, and thanks to the
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Show contributing.
It's an honor to have you all here. I'm honored, seriously. I'm just grinning. I'm just loving it. It's like, how you make me. Before you say what she sung opera, but she sung in churches, and she was in different groups. And my father was working. If I wasn't with him, he'd come by to pick her up. And after the rehearsal, they would break out eating. It would be at different people's apartments or homes. They had the pianos and stuff. 4 or 5 years old. It's back in the 60s. Back at that time, being born in 63, you're 4 and 5 years old. You're hearing things that sometimes you can't quite comprehend. So it's very pleasurable for me to be in a scenario where, like when I was a little boy and my mother's over here and I'm all small, my father's there, Mr. Harris is over there, Miss Harris, Robert Kellum, Evelyn Gumby, all these are Martha Richardson. These are names of people that I was a kid and knew their names and knew what they stood. These were people of character, people who, truth came out. This was a different time. And I'm sitting here like a little boy, just looking up and listening and being so impressed by what was said. They weren't trying to put on, these were real people of consciousness and character. And so when I'm here and this is all set up and I just have the headphones on, I may not see you next to me physically, but I'm feeling this energy. That's why I could sit here and I'm grinning. I'm in the chat room. I'm glad to be here. You know what I mean? It may have my name on the covering, but I ain't Sugar Honey Iced Tea without y'all. People call me, Lance, that was a great show. Well, I didn't hardly talk. It was them. Tell them that. Give them credit for what they bring. My heart glow. I wouldn't want to be nowhere else right now. I'm in hog heaven, and I don't even eat pork. But go ahead, Bernadette. Loving it. Go ahead, Bernadette.
Thank you. and yes, I mean, when there's like-minded people that come together, that's what makes the experience so much more enriching.
Yes.
And thank you and blessings to all. So yes, the thing that I wanted to mention was the brother that just spoke not too long ago. He's absolutely correct in terms of the media. Funny enough, I was thinking about this morning, just about the of. So I know that it's going to sound a little odd.
No.
When you look at the media, it really is a source of. It's a form of sorcery.
Yes.
Because the whole point of the media is to try and alter a person's reality and try to create and invent reality that can be controlled, that can be used as a tool to complete whatever tasks, needs, or uphold any types of systems, in this case, white supremacy. And this is where the strong arm of the sorcery of that media, where the spells are cast through teaching people how to love through the music industry, for example. I mean, if you look at that and you're trying to figure out, why are the younger generations acting the way that they are? They're sexting each other. They're becoming more and more promiscuous. Well, then really all we need to do is look back on the type of music that they're listening to. I was just with my son the other day, and we were listening to the radio, because I rarely get to listen to the radio. I'm working so much. All you hear is "I love you for your body." All I want to do is have sex with you. I want to give you as much money. Oh, my boyfriend slings dope, but he takes care of me very well. These types of messages, and with the younger generation, not having the tools needed to discern that, and they're processing the information of, okay, that's what love is. That's how a male and female are to communicate with each other. And then this is how it's supposed to be. So, our community needs to take back, and do our own narrative, and break the spell with truth. That was just one example, but they need to break the spell with truth, and the truth of showing and publicizing that there are different narratives to our community, that we are a strong people. After all that we've been through, we're still here. We're not dying out, and we're going to keep on going until the end of time.
Yes.
Also, to double back to, because I know that there was a discussion in part about Martin Luther King and his "I Have a Dream" speech. Now, the "I Have a Dream" speech is cherry picked, and the fact that the media likes to use that is it's a way to placate the masses, right? What they do is they say, okay, well, he had a dream, so you still have that dream. That dream never is going to become a reality, but you can at least keep the dream because it's a democracy, right? But what they never really talk about is that Martin Luther King had his last speech where he feared that his people were being entered into a burning building.
A burning house. Yeah, I mentioned that.
A burning house. And so to wake up from that dream. And mind you, he was the figurehead. There were lots of people behind him, within his group that were doing the wheeling and dealing. Some for the agenda of the community, and some reasons for their own personal gain. To name one.
Amen.
But,
Jesse Jackson is an Asian.
Big time.
So is Al Sharpton.
Woo! Tell him.
Yes. So I mean, to keep in mind when we're looking at the civil rights movement, we're looking at the image of Martin Luther King. It's really, whatever is being pegged onto him could very well be derived from somebody else and from somebody else's actions. But because he was held as a figurehead, he's getting thrown in with all the descriptions about him.
Right.
I mean, another thing that he believed in was he believed in arms. I know that that Malcolm X also believed in arms too. King, he also believed in having guns and defending oneself. However, within his group, it was felt that that part should not be used because it would be contrary to nonviolent rhetoric that they were spouting in order to have the civil rights as successful as they thought it would be. So,
let me say this about Martin. They used him. That was a chess move because you can control black people if you have a black face. You see what I'm saying? So he thought it was just, white people were coming around and America had changed and we're gonna you see what I'm saying? But as he went further along, he realized that he was being used.
Yes.
They pushed that agenda, and we've trusted Martin Luther King as a people. So any other figure, they have to have the trust. So they used him to push that agenda, and we laid down and we gave up everything till this day about that. And another thing you were saying, as far as with the music and stuff like that, that is very true. Because if you look at any other music genres, look at country, rock, R&B, any other genre that's usually taken over. It's usually white now in America.
Mm-hmm.
But how many other genres do you hear of people saying, I'm going to kill my own race, I'm going to kill my brother, I'm going to shoot, I'm going to murder, I'm going to do this and that? That's only in hip-hop, which is a predominantly black music right now. So it's funny. It's like having us to be our own enemy, like you were saying, and just promoting the foolishness and whatever. And that it doesn't just go anywhere. When you watch TV, it goes right to your subconscious mind. And your subconscious mind, it has to accept the information. Mm-hmm.
You mind if I chime in on that? Hi, my name is David. I'm Mr. Pirate Brain inside of the chat room.
Mr. Pirate Brain. You got to tell me how you got that name. That's just, so you can tell me another time, but I'm like, Mr. Pirate Brain.
Thank you. Yeah, I wanted to chime in on that because a lot of people, they give hip hop a bad rap, and I'm not into hip hop. I'm 56, so I was too old for, I'm an old school thing, but I'm a musician and I get it. When NWA came out, it was violent, but they were talking about the violence that was inflicted upon them. So you were hearing them talking about the guns and all of that, but they were talking about what was happening in their environment and what happened. We had BET, and BET was giving us a voice. And when the white folks bought it out, they started using BET against us and all of this gangster. They gave it the title of gangster rap, right? And then they changed the narrative.
They changed it again.
Sounds the same, but it's not.
But it's not. Because remember they did the fuck the police. You see, they shut that down immediately, right?
Yeah, and now IC's been playing the police officer for the last 20 years.
See, they make them pay for. It's like to reverse it. Like, you know what? Since you wanted to say fuck the police, we're gonna make you play a police officer to make you look like a fool.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, and what's he gonna do? Is he gonna turn down millions of dollars?
See what I mean?
Out,
That's what they did with Michael.
And I didn't want to interrupt y'all. I just wanted to chime in on.
Well, that's good, man. That's good.
But that's what they did with the Black Lions here.
Black Lion.
How you doing today, man? Peace and love to my sisters. Salute to my soldiers out there, my true soldiers, that is.
Yes.
I mean, just to piggyback off that Ice-T, I'm going to say this, and this is for everybody listening. We always have a choice, number one. And that man made that choice to do what he did. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you know, I know Brother Lance and Brother Lance know me from a conversation. I can say that that man will not sell his soul for no dollar, just like he knows that I would never sell my soul for a dollar.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, you know, when you speak on these people and these monetary gains, you got to understand that a lot of these people have different agendas, and his agenda may have been something different from the start. Don't always look at the finish. Look at the beginning. You got to really look deep and see what's been going on through his path, because he's been playing all this type of stuff, you know what I mean, for a long time. Don't forget, before he got on TV playing that cop, he was in New Jack City. What was he in New Jack City? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's where it started.
He was an undercover detective. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, he's been doing this for some time to get that paper. You know what I mean? But, you know, also I want to state, and I stated this the last couple of times briefly, that I was online about the term that I coined called, you know, perspective victimization. You know, people think this is a joke, and everything you guys just detailed today about us getting back to our roots and going to other places, stuff, it all derives around perspective victimization. And for people that do not understand the science term of that, it means when you are victimized as a being by other people's thoughts and views and how they live their life. And we've been doing this since our people so-called got here, or those that came in that passage. So, you know, at some point in time, individually, okay, we can't do it collectively. It must be something that's done individually. It always will start with self. It always will start with home. Okay, we must start stripping ourselves. I heard the brother speaking about the television. That is a fact. Study forensic psychology and criminal justice, so I'm very well in depth in all the information that you're speaking about. And it's a fact. They've been studying us, you know, studying people. So I say human civilization is the 1800s. I heard someone say earlier. I think I heard someone say on a different a call with the sociology and the psychology terminology. So yes, the mental warfare, they've been playing this for a while, but see, what you gotta understand is first they started with their people, and they got their people under control, and they got their people with the music, they got their people with certain things, and now they switch term. Somebody's phone is breaking up there.
Yeah. There's somebody that just added in. The person that just added in, you gotta knock your line off, man. Mute your phone.
Yeah, as I was saying, you know, they start off with the music going at their own people, you know, with the rock and roll from the 70s, 80s, you know, the Kiss bands and some of these other bands that, you know, the horrific, you know, type of music, the kill that, you know, a lot of these kids, you know, in the 70s, 80s, you know, these pale kids will listen to the music and they get high and stuff, and then that stuff starts channeling their inner demons, and they start reacting on it. And like you said, this is what they're doing now with the hip hop, you know, with the fashion. It's visual and it's audio, treatment that they're giving us and hitting it with our subconscious. You know, why is everyone dressing the same? Why is everyone looking the same? Why is everyone, you know, when a certain song come on, automatically people jump up. You know, you got kids that don't even know the ABCs, but they know certain hooks and lines to songs. That's a personal problem. That's the problem with the home. You know, we can't keep blaming other people for our mistakes. You know what I mean? That is called insanity. You know what I'm saying? When you continue to repeat the same behaviors and think something different is going to happen. You know, but, at this...
Okay, we got one of those.
Oh, man.
But see, it's going too good.
Hold on.
Don't you think that that's and it is a balancing trick, because like with parenting, I believe that you can't shield your kids from what they see, but as a parent, you got to give them some balance and allow them to understand that whatever choices they make, right, wrong, or indifferent, that there's always hello?
Yeah, we're good.
Okay, that there's always consequences, because this is my thing. I remember like growing up, and I remember NWA and stuff like that. I liked the DOC a lot because from a rap perspective, I like flow. So for me, I do. I like Andre 3000. I like a certain kind of flow, you know. But I think for me, at some point where it became, I think it was Bernadette that was online that was talking about that kids aren't given a level of discernment. A lot of times, I believe that, you know, there is some discernment there, but it's always about what. Because I remember the first time when I realized like music is out of damn control was when Head, Booty, and Cock came out. I was like, wow, like I can't sing that at the house. but because my parents and that respect, and I had that discernment in myself because I knew that from that perspective, they wasn't having that in the house. And number two, I know that it's wrong. That's why I'm hiding, listening to it. Do you kind of see what I'm saying? So I think at some point there's gotta, we don't sit back and hold ourselves accountable as people. We make excuses and say that, okay, there's things that's out there, you know, yeah, with the, you know, we're talking about the sociology and psychology going far back as Copernicus, as him following the cult to, you know, basically making binary systems where numbers count. What do? Everything's followed by statistics. So at the end of the day, we didn't invent this, but at what point do we sit back and hold ourselves accountable to be able to be at a higher standard?
So I don't.
At the end of the day, sister, statistics mean nothing unless the individual takes his time out to review those statistics and to get his own perspective. Once again, this goes back to perspective victimization. Just because someone puts something in front of you, that don't mean it's true. And I believe that everyone is on a conscious level here where we can agree with that. That's why we're here like we are, because we don't agree with the things that are going on. But we got a lot of other people of our communities that do not understand that. They have been taught and brainwashed so long not to think for themselves that it continues to go down. The children believe that. Well, you know, I believe that you're probably the same age as me.
But where do you stop caring what they think and the way that they're raised?
Well, once again, that goes back to the parent. But let me finish for a second. And this is what I'm going to say to you. As a child, I was going to say that you're probably around the same age as me. Okay, as a child, the parent always tells you around 1, 2 years old, when you start going around, you're walking, you're touching things, don't touch that, that's hot, don't touch it, so forth and so forth. Every child will, even though the parent tell them not to touch it, go and test it for themselves. You know why? Because we are born to learn by our own teachings. Yes, we do learn by others' teachings, but we learn by our own teachings. You have to have that confirmation for yourself that it is hot. You must have that conversation for yourself that the situation is danger in order for you to believe that it's danger.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I
agree with
that. You brought that up as well. And the reason why I'm glad that you brought that up too is because I also feel that a lot of the parents are shielding their children too much.
Yeah.
It's actually twofold, where they're listening to the music, but they're not debriefing about what the music is about. And the parents, unfortunately, are not really coming in and saying, here, I'm going to expose you to this, but I'm going to explain to you the historical adversities that resulted into this. And that's the reason why the younger generation is not really understanding, you know, why the history of slavery has really impacted us. I mean, we don't even know the full extent as to the history of slavery. How on some plantations, you know, some of the skins were actually, some of the slaves were actually de-skinned, and their skins were leathered and made into book bindings, and some people died with the muscles actually breaking off of the bone because they've been worked so hard to death. So they don't, you know, they don't really understand how evil and destructive, you know, what our ancestors went through, and that's where there's a huge disconnect. You know, they don't understand.
Sorry.
Well, sister, the reason that there's disconnect because none of us has proof of fact. Unless you're over 100 years old, to where you happen to your parents told you what's going on, none of us really know the truth. Also, you know what I'm saying? We're being taught. I'm not saying it's right or wrong, and that's why these kids do not connect with it, because these kids want proof. You know what I'm saying? The generations of do as I say as I do. No, that shit is out the window. You know what I'm saying? These kids are more smarter. They have a lot more access to a lot of things. They want proof. Just like as adults now, conscious, coming out of the unconscious lifestyle. Okay? We've been searching for proof also. We've been searching for proof all our lives. We didn't agree with a lot of stuff that's been spoken to us, that a lot of us now are picking up books to read for ourselves. But even then, book is another person's tale. Is that not correct? It's also to be another person's lie.
Well, I want to add this, because I believe that for me, what she's saying from her perspective, I'll just give you an example. When rap came out, they'll be saying, I sit up on the block. I had someone who took me to the side, older, who shared with me what on the block meant as far as people being sold. Do you kind of see what I'm saying? So things that can be like that, when you're saying as far as, they want to show proof, there's certain things that's evident like that can be taught, or just having that conversation with the kid of what that song means to them or whatever. Just because one household don't do it doesn't mean another shouldn't.
But we still, like I said, we still. Let me say this: we focusing too much on the small details. But
isn't that where it starts?
No, it doesn't. You see what I'm saying? The details is the after effect. We're focusing on blaming it on the children, blaming it on the parents, and we are all subjugated.
Sorry to interrupt, but there's no blame on the children or the parents. It's what it is actually a recommendation.
Right. No, I agree with you. Yeah. I'm just saying we judge people.
And why we are the way we are at this point.
Right. I'm just saying, but we be subconsciously judging people's behavior, and we are all subject to this. The television is a stronger voice than any parent, any person. When they watch the media, they look up to what is on TV. You know what I'm saying? That speaks to them. A picture is worth 1,000 words. So when they see a visual image of this is what you need to do, this is what you need to be, no matter how, you could talk to you blue in your face, they're gonna follow it. You see what I'm saying? Until we get control on media, show them, not what we talk about. We're not gonna ever get control of the situation.
Well, but isn't that a small
thing?
But isn't that a small thing? Where you were saying, I said, isn't it
it
could be the small thing?
That's the source of the social behavior. It's the television. That's what I'm saying.
Well, the thing is that I can explain what I've done in my household. For instance, it's been literally 15 years since we've had a television in my house. And what I did with my son growing up is I would have him listen to the music, but then I would explain and I would give him historical books behind it so that he gets to understand how the image of our community has been created and invented to
offset it.
As we're becoming labeled as black sheep, like we're can play off their negativity onto our community. So he had a more enriching experience in the understanding of how all this is played into each other. So when he now listens to the music, he's really not just listening to the beat, because I also think a lot of the kids get hooked in by the beat. He listens to the lyrics, and then he then
unlocked.
A lot of the stereotypes that are coming up from the music. Now that's just one example. Again, done with other forms of media through reading the newspaper. If he happens to pass by and see a television on and something comes up be able to at least be able to analyze it and say, okay, how much of this is really, you know, accurate as to the representation of me. That's what
and that's great. That's great that you're doing it.
So the thing is that in terms of,
I have an opinion, you fucking nigga.
Give me a second. We're gonna lock him out.
Yeah.
We're gonna lock him out.
You got a number? I can trace his number.
Oh, I got the number. I got the number. And we're gonna drop it in some of the. Yeah, we got him out.
I gotta say though, I understand how this goes, but there's got to be some kind of filter on who can just jump in.
Yeah, no. See, I do it manually, and it can be done automatic. We're gonna lock it down.
Conference unlocked.
Okay, we're gonna lock it again. Okay, we're locking it.
Conference locked.
Now we're good. I thought it was someone else, and I opened it up. Now we have somebody on the line who has a. So if you have a computer on behind you, knock it down, because I'm hearing the echo. But no, we good though. Just check your echo.
They could just come in.
No. They can only come in when I have it unlocked. Come in.
Right.
You know what I mean?
No way to like preface them and ask them. You know,
Oh yeah, no, I could do it that way, but I'm doing like 3 things on 3 different screens right now.
I got you.
But we got an echo though. Whoever has their phone, them, cut the computer down. I'm hearing the echo here. Okay, I'm gonna do a check. I'm gonna have to mute somebody. Let me see. Okay, hold on. 3, 2, 1. Okay. Let me check the next one.
Yeah, I don't hear echo, but maybe it's on your end. Do you hear echo?
It's gone now.
nope, I don't hear it.
Okay.
I don't hear.
Yeah, I don't hear it either, Lance.
All right, cool.
I don't hear it either.
Cool. Hey, Joe, don't let that kill your spirit. That means we're doing real good.
I can't. I wasn't introduced to the gentleman that was speaking prior with the conversation, bro. And I would say I do agree to disagree to a certain level of what you're speaking as far as the learning and teaching aspect to the children. And this is why I stated, you know, as far as the youth, that today's youth are the type of youth that they want that proof. Show them by many ways, whether it be, like you said, sitting down with them watching TV or so forth. But today's children, they want to see that plan firsthand. You know, I mean, I've been working with kids for 15 years. You know, and a lot of the kids that I deal with, should I say, are urban city or poor whites or Hispanics, and a lot of them are, they may call it negative. You know, but you know, for me working with them, I understand that they're no negative than I am. You know, the only difference is the water and love and respect. They don't have that. You know what I'm saying? So you can't expect a kid to respect you or respect society when he's in his animal instinct. You know what I'm saying? Right. You can't, you know what I mean? You got a kid whose mother is getting sexualized in front of him for drugs, you know what I'm saying? And now he's not having food, you know what I'm saying? What you mean? Go to school? I'm not going to school. You know what I'm saying? The boys in the community are popping up on moms. You know what I'm saying? You think I'm going to school so people could clown me? You know what I'm saying? Knowing that my mom's is getting popped off by the local drug dealers at the same age as me. You know, they see that I don't have no clothes, I don't have no food, so I'm going to go to school to what? Get picked on? Do that. They're not going to do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
You have to have your basics in order to get to the next level of life. You know what I'm saying? Like I tell people all the time, listen, you know what I'm saying? If you don't have a job, you know what I'm saying, your thought process is to attempt to get a job. You got to build up the ladder. You can't just come out and think you're going to be Bill Gates in 30 days. That's, you know what I'm saying? Not saying it's impossible, but the reality of that happens. It's not a situation you should set yourself up for failure, because reality is you kind of set yourself up for failure if you think in 30 days you're going to be Bill Gates. You got to move up that ladder. You know, and I think that the problem with a lot of our community is they've been in a rut and been down for so long that they're playing on the personal aspect. You know, they're out there spending their last $100 knowing they need food, but they'll go buy lottery tickets, you know, or they'll go give it to the pastor at the church, hoping that if they pray for 5 hours, you know, saying tomorrow morning we'll wake up, you know, somebody's going to give them a win for life check that's going to be in their mailbox. Life doesn't happen like that. You know what I'm saying? What you put in, you get out. You may put in and don't get shit for 5, 10, 15 years, but you still got to keep churning.
Black Lion, let me interject something really quick from what just happened. It means that we're doing our job. I'm getting all these little, I'm just going to address it just really quick instead of typing and typing and typing. There's a faction of the population, many races, but most of all white, pink, ice people. We here don't have any hate in our heart. We are here and we're speaking so progressive with so much love on issues that affect us in a positive way to speak on it and pull ourselves up. When you get a bunch of them together, all they do is speak about us. They have nothing of their own they're speaking about. When they speak about us, it's how they can rob and rape and steal what we have naturally. You see, this, I'm talking about the guy that came on and called us niggas and all this stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
But he's only, yeah, but he's the nigger of the world. Dictates that.
Several times.
Yeah, true history dictates that. And they don't like to hear conversations that they cannot understand. If you're a caveman, your radio only picks up not FM and not shortwave. When we speak on a higher level, kid in the candy store looking up at the top shelf and they can't reach it. They're impotent. They're unable. They're inept. This is why they want to keep us down with them. That's why they always come to us on our jobs or in public. Hey, Lance, how many hot chicks did you screw this weekend? You know, and I'll get down on their level too sometime. Well, didn't you see that white stuff on the side of your mama's lip? You should know. I mean, you just caught that, right? No, I can roll around in the dirt too, but I'm gonna do it righteously. But I can throw low blows. I can thumb you in your eye. I can elbow you when the referee ain't looking. I'm slick. I'm a veteran, and I've been at this game for a long time. So them even saying that, you notice I didn't flinch. And I'm not even angry now. But I can tell you in your face, not any of my brothers and sisters here, I can tell you in your face what you are. It's probably one of my coworkers who wouldn't dare say anything to me in my face, because I'll get you, and I'll do it in a way where I'll still keep my position on the plantation until I'm ready to fire the boss. So when they understand that you are smarter than them, that you're wiser than them, that you're quicker and sharper than them, drinking beer, eating a pork, and can't do nothing with their woman at home who's looking at me in Walmart, wishing she would lay down with me. That's what she wishing, because that big fat man that she's with can't do nothing for her. You see? He knows this. He knows our greatness. We're going. And so when they surf the internet just to make themselves feel good and look at the ratchet stuff and say, yes, these niggers are up at bat in the game of righteousness, and they don't even know it. They're not warming up for their time at bat to knock out the home run. They're preoccupied with the foolishness that we distract them with. Because when the time comes, they won't be able to knock the ball out of the park and bring everybody on home. So when they hear conversations like this, it must be disrupted. And is that all y'all can do, is say nigga? Do. I mean, all I have is a high school diploma. But I read so much and I've read so much over the years and had so many conversations. I've been paid in their colleges to speak. They don't like that. They don't like that we can move independently of their system. And even though I joke and say I'm like the Wizard of Oz with all these wires and stuff around, it's getting the job done. And we don't have to wait for their CNN to tell us what to do. On it, you can listen on it and get mad. You can't stop this. You won't stop this.
That's right.
And we're planting righteous seeds, and the people who may be caught up in the poisons that they put out, and they're listening to their poison beats, they say, hey, wait a second. You know, we're hearing something else. And this food not only tastes good, but it makes me feel good. Because, see, I was exposed to better when I was younger. And I keep myself exposed to better now. So this is why every now and then you might see me speak on a ratchet topic. See, what is Scurv talking about? Well, it's really for those who want to hear that stuff, but I'm like a mousetrap. See, you hear that and it's the cheese. But the righteousness is the trap that will snap your neck out of that foolishness that this white man has you dealing in. So when you fighting somebody, you better have the moves and be slick. But this is only confirmation that this is a beautiful, wonderful, melanated conversation with peace that can't be infiltrated. All they can do is come and say nigger. Love here. Yeah, there's nothing but love here. So the more you call me nigger, cracker, is the more I'm going to love my people. I'm not coming for the so-called right to piss next to you or to crap next to you. Your breath smells worse than any crap they cut. So I don't even want to see you. It's not that I hate you. I wouldn't waste my energy hating you. I just love me too much. Not too much, just a lot. And I love everybody in this room righteously and on this call. And they're not going to stop it. The hell with you. Matter of fact, you know hell is coming for you. You have no place to go, no else. You see also the righteousness that's put out, the righteous memes that the brothers put out there that they block and don't want us to see. But if we put one of our sisters up half naked and bring her to you for some pleasure, you don't mind that. When we're calling our sisters bitches and hoes, you don't mind that.
That's right.
But when we have it, especially beautiful, intelligent, beautiful, I'm telling you, Bernadette, Jasmine, you know, you don't see their face here, but these are some beautiful sisters, not only outside, but also on the inside. Protect them like I protect my wife. I would never say, well, that's not my wife. No, I'll give my life for you. I seriously mean that. I'm looking for the opportunity to give my life for my people. That's why I'm not moving in fear. Nah. And when you do what you do, if you think you're going to do it, and I don't think you can or will, because God has something over my life. And like I was speaking to Brother Ison earlier, and I'm gonna tell everybody the conversation. Shut up after this because I got to go pee soon. But Brother Ison, weren't we speaking about certain aspects of my life, not glorifying it, but speaking about days, the many years that I was living wild with so many women and throwing them freaky parties that I never caught a disease. I never had to go to the clinic. And every time I did get a checkup, I was in perfect health. There's no way that I could have done all of that. And again, I'm not glorifying that stuff. I wish I never did it. Right? But after all of that, there must be some kind of protection. So if I can get through that, and there are people that I know with that died 2 years later and 3 years later from AIDS, or found themselves in the clinic 6 months later because they running around too now. How many people I've been connected with. So why am I here now next week, next Saturday, 5:34 in the morning, ready to celebrate my 54th birthday? And there's so many that I know that never made it past 25, never made it past 20, never made it past 30. And I'm sitting here like, what the heck? So you know what? I better do it right. So that's why I must move fearlessly. So some little toothless cracker calling up on his time To call me nigga, you think that's going to bother me? You better come better than that. So let me tell you, you little white nigga, and I'm getting off from this. I'm the closest thing. The brothers here are the closest thing, and the sisters here are the closest thing, mentally, physically, and spiritually, to Superman and Superwoman that you ever will see. And that's what you hate when you see us. And you love it when we don't know who we really are. But when we start to know who we really are and love ourselves unconditionally, a difference in perspective, but we taking our time out of love and ironing it out and considering, well, maybe Brother Ison was right, or Brother Lion was right, or Sister Bernadette, or Jasmine, or Mr. Pirate Brain, and whoever else is here, Rose Brown. We have an open mind to each other. You want to see division. And you love the drama you see when you see black man against black woman and black woman against black man and all this swirling crap. You can't mix water and oil. It ain't never going to happen unless one person is going to leave their culture at the door, or one person is going through their rebellious phase to piss off their white daddy so they want to get a yard of black dick just for the feeling on their father. I'm going to piss them off. We don't want none of that. We want to be pure too. Not just pure in our skin, in our race, but pure in our heart. None of your poisons no more, because love is the greatest intoxicant that there is, and it has no hangover. Let me go pee, y'all. Y'all keep going.
Great.
Yeah, I agree with him.
I concur with that message.
Yeah, you can't give attention to it, because it's all a part of to keep us separate. You know what I'm saying? And when they see black people at each other, they can sleep well at night. See what I'm saying? Their biggest fear is black people actually getting together, uniting. His motto is divide and conquer. That's how they got this land. You know what I'm saying? So until we understand that, that's why and they work as a unit. You know, I'm not a racist person. You see what I'm saying? But I understand work together. You know what I'm saying? That was just one caller. Now he's not even part of the larger government, police department, Ku Klux Klan, Masonic. Not even part of that, but he took time to try his best to distract even a small channel like this that's not on a major national level, but he took the time to come and divide. So imagine as a whole how much, you see what I'm saying? If that one little person can do that, imagine how, as a unit, they work to divide us. I'm looking at it is for what it is. And they come and they say, oh, that's racist. If you point out what they do, they come and tell you that it's racist. It's not racist to point out what you're doing. You know what I'm saying? How many black people go to try to break up white unions where they have meat and stuff? We don't do that. You see what I'm saying? Because we're not even worried about that. But they're so worried about us. You know what I mean? If you go look on a YouTube channel and it's about anything black, go look at the comment section. It's white people, comment after comment. They are so concerned with black people, but we're supposed to be so much lower than them. But why are we at the top of your list to be concerned about? You see, that's a fear. You know, and yeah.
Yeah, and I wanted to touch on something that I heard earlier, and I believe that a lot of times when we talk about people that come from different walks of life, you know, I honestly, and well, I wouldn't say hate, but dislike when I hear the word, well, judge them. And I think a lot of times we have to change our mindset, because just because we mention something doesn't mean that we're judging someone. I value myself in knowing different people from different walks of life. I'm talking about, you need to have an open mind to be able to be put up on game from somebody older to someone younger. A lot of times we fall into that trap of, you know, if this person did something or whatever, you know, we can't, don't talk about that, or don't say nothing about that, or don't, you know, it comes down to that individuality, and it comes down to accountability. You know, yes, I sit back and look at when I was growing up and becoming an adult. Yes, I sat back and seen people that's done things or whatever for whatever reason, good, bad, or indifferent. But at the end of the day, it's not about whether I'm judging them or anyone else for that matter. Yes, I know that there's millions and billions upon billions of people that judge, but at the end of the day, it comes from a unique perspective to say, okay, you know what? Why am I mentioning that? Am I mentioning that for a reason, as a lesson? When because I think when even mentioning the way that we raise our kids, you know, just because someone raised their child differently doesn't mean that they discount someone else's children or other children out there in the world that's raised differently. It doesn't even mean that they judge the way that they're raised or how they grew up or whatever. That's why it's important for us to be able, as adults, as mentors, because that's what we should be at our age, to be able to have and talk and have that conversation with that kid without sitting back labeling them ghetto. I think a lot of times it's about having empathy and compassion to sit back and say, yeah, that's ghetto, but why is that child ghetto? Why is that person like that? And I think it's almost like we almost get stuck on the fact of when it's mentioned, oh, that's when it goes from 0 to 100. Oh, you know, we're looking at this person bad, or we're judging them like this, or just because you raise your kid like this, you're raising them from a white perspective. We get caught up on nuances. Instead of looking at the big picture of, you know what, we as a people, as a culture, are wounded. And it does not sit back and progress me as a person to not embrace you or anyone else with compassion and empathy, knowing when I'm coming into the situation out the gate that I'm dealing with wounded people as our culture.
Right. That's a great perspective on it, because we judge. When I say judge, I'm not using that in a strict sense. What I'm saying is, we have the mentality of people who are against us to our own. And we will, and anyone, because we don't have anybody to turn to. I'm saying as Black people, we don't have anyone to turn to. So when you turn to your own people and they're treating you just the same it says you are, and they're saying, oh, look at you, look what you're doing. But what's causing these situations? News all the time talk about the violence in Chicago, the violence over here. They're selling drugs over there. Why don't you talk about why they're violent? Most of it is income.
Or let's talk about how the drugs came into the communities, because we don't own any yachts. We don't go over to overseas. We don't have their poppy fields, access to their poppy fields. Let's talk about how. or better yet, let's even go a step further. Why we want to talk about the violence in Chicago and how all these people and inner city people are killing each other, but we have people that's running this country talking about dropping a nuclear bomb as if they're getting ready to have a chickle stick.
But they never mention the source of the problem. They just talk about the problem. Black people are violent. They're shooting each other. Okay, what's going on? What will make someone that desperate or in that situation? It's income. They're being iced out of jobs. They're being iced out of opportunity. Their neighborhood is messed up. You know what I'm saying? They're being incarcerated. Their parents are being incarcerated.
Or they're in gangs because they have no sense of brotherhood, because we're divided as people and been divided up as people.
Right. And most of it is income-based, really. If you change the income, or if these people had jobs, they wouldn't be doing this violence. But they're not going to mention that on the news. They're just going to say they're violent. You know what I'm saying? Like we choose, or like they choose to be in the situation. Because when I hear white people, that's how they talk about it. Oh, Black people, or they do this and that. Black people, we are in a situation. You know what I mean? And even when you look at slavery or whatever, we even get up off our feet and really recover. That's like a person being battered. The situation with Black people in America is like this. say you knew there was a serial killer who raped and killed some of your family members, and he raped your great-grandmother. You know this, and he didn't get convicted. Now, you see his record, right? This is a serial killer. But this serial killer, you move in his house, and you live in a room with this serial killer, knowing what he done to your family. But you move in a room with him, and then you want to live with him like everything is cool and let's forget about it. And meanwhile, he has never paid for anything that he's done, and he's still abusing you every day. For Black people in America, we're living with the serial killers.
And let's talk about the fact that you'll have people that jump up with the Emancipation Proclamation. It's like that was actually talking about, oh, Lincoln freed the slaves. What, to go back to Africa without a dime after we built this country on our backs?
That's right. And people who say go back to Africa, I tell them, well, then you go back to Europe. Here either. You know what I'm saying? Talking about go back to
came here and stole this land.
Exactly. Stole and genocide. Just imagine that though. You come into a land, people, and you genocide, which is serial. That's a race of serial killers. Think about it. To not have a conscience, you have killed millions of people. Their blood is spilled, and then you do slavery on top of that land. You still are oppressing the same people, and then you blame them. Look at you. Oh, you're this. You don't have anything. You're struggling. Well, guess what? Look at your history. Don't look at my history. Look at your history. You know what I mean? And it's just amazing because you have white people there. They celebrate Independence Day. They celebrate 4th of July, and they're just so happy. Pure, holy experience. And like America was always white, and like they don't have the past that they do. And that's why I say that's a form to me of like a mental illness on a racial level, that you can't acknowledge how vicious and how utterly murderous your past is on who's a victim and act like they're the problem. If we're only 12%, 14%, yeah, go ahead.
Well, brother, what I was going to say is, I apologize for cutting you off, but
no,
a lot of that is because the victims are solidifying the situation. Okay, you have melanated people who will jump ship, and they're getting prepared right now for Memorial Day. They're getting paid ready for Easter. They're getting ready for the 4th of July. And those same people will be out there shucking and jiving, shipping, getting licked up, tore up for parties that were detrimental to our people's health. You know what I'm saying? So that's now right. You can't really say that it's all on them, because a lot of it is all on us. You know what I'm saying? We're 50% part of the problem, if not more, because we continue to roll with it and act like things are not going on.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
and
the problem with our people today, bro, and I'm gonna tell you like this: we have neighborhoods, but we do not have communities anymore. You know what I'm saying?
There you go.
That is one of the bigger problems, because you know what? Connecticut. You know what I'm saying? I lived in the projects or project areas. We didn't have much, but you know what? We was happy as a motherfucker, goddammit. We had Uno, we had stickers, we went outside for football. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? We had each other.
We had faith.
With the bikes with the banana seats on it. You know, the
wheels.
The deck of cars inside the wheels. You know what I mean?
Right.
We had fun, but we had nothing. Today, the reason why a lot of things are going on, because everybody's thinking about monetary. They're not thinking about protecting each other. They're not worried about, you know what, I see that lady struggling to get her groceries. Let me jump on my car and go help the lady with groceries. You know what I'm saying? 9 out of 10, if you do jump on, we think you're going to try to rob her anyway. You know what I'm saying? But a lot of that we have to start taking blame for and put on our shoulders. And then until we get back to community, Brother Les said one key word. He said a lot of key words and his rave regarding that gentleman, but he said he loves himself, bro. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We got to get back and start teaching our people to love themselves. You know what I'm saying? Because unless you love yourself, you cannot love anyone else. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
In order to love, everyone else, you know what I'm saying? That's when the community advocacy comes in. That's when, young lady, as a mentor, you can go out to the community and you see 5 girls walking up there and you see them shaking their ass or acting a certain way that you don't feel is respectful to them, when you can pull them aside without chastising and say, ladies, you know what? You know what I'm saying? I think it's a different way you can carry yourself. And just come up to these kids like this now and speak that, because they don't understand. You know what I'm saying? They don't have any true understanding of what it's like to be a child. You got to understand, when we grew up in the 70s, the 80s, and those who grew up in the 60s, you were allowed to be a child. Yes, some people worked, but everybody had to work at 13 or 14 years old. You know what I'm saying? Everybody at 11, 12 years old was worried about if they was going to get a peanut butter and jelly sandwich or they was going to get free lunch. They don't even give out free lunch anymore. Programs that were taken away, and a lot of that was because of our fault, because we allowed them to take away. We allowed to take the crumbs. We allowed for those to get on to the stuff in which they took the men from the community. They took the men for the home. They did a lot of things to us that we allowed to do. And at some point in time, we got to take, like you said earlier, accountability for our own actions. We got to take accountability as individuals first, as community second.
I hear that, Stu, and that does. But at the same time, we are at a disadvantage as far as you can't say. I mean, yeah, we can do the best we can with what we have. You're right. We need to have more community, but it's not. We can't just say, "Oh, we got to take responsibility," because a lot of this is actively being daily worked against us. Incarceration rate for Black males. Just look at that. You know what I'm saying? And without the male in the family, that's a problem. That's a very big problem. You don't see that with white families. You see what I'm saying? You don't see that with Asian families, Hispanic families. We are being actively worked against on the daily. And even when we try, I mean, the biggest thing we can do, we can go to a church. You know what I'm saying? Black people go to church. we can crowd up in churches, but guess what? Church, and you see this conversation we're having right here, if every Sunday, if instead of having a service about Christianity, if you said, you know what, let's open the microphone up in this church that got 6,000, 10,000 people in here, and how about we have a discussion about how we can figure out what we're going to do with our community instead of just collecting offering for some pastor to buy a new suit and a new car. You know what I'm saying? And put marble floors on the church. How about we figure out how we can maybe fix our community?
Let me say something to you really funny. There was a local church. There's a local church that had me come out. Let me just interject really quick. There was a local church that invited me to come speak, and I respect the people there. I'm not going to come in hardcore, and I adjusted to their rate of perception and absorption. I didn't want to scare them, but they smelled it. They sniffed it. And I was on my best behavior, but I was getting it in so subtle. And they were liking it. And the pastor, he was on the side and he knew exactly, I guess he did his research on me, and he was a little nervous about me being there anyway. So he sent one of his little imps up, one of his deacons up, and kindly said that, well, give it 2 more minutes. I'm like, give it 2 more minutes? I only been here 5 minutes, and you said 30. And I didn't say it like that. I said it after, but I knew what it was. And a lot of these pastors, they would never do that because, again, they're there to be that pressure valve when they want to rise up. But they're there to keep them quelled as per the orders of the politicians and the white slave masters that they bring their Jesus money to. Brain. And they keep us dumbed down. Why can't they? It will be a wonderful thing. With all of these churches around here, right? I'm not even trying to be somebody's preacher. It's not even about me. I would set it up. I'd be the man. Set it up. I'd use my little bit of popularity to get the butts in the seats and work on social media and sit back like I do on these shows and let the people flow. But they wouldn't let me do that. They wouldn't let me do it. I'm going to try here and there, but they're really not going to let me do that.
That's what I'm saying. That's the power right there. It's a church every block. Music store next to them.
And a crack house.
Crack house, liquor
in the
store.
whorehouse, in the fried chicken spot.
That's right. All of that.
In the numbers joint.
That's right.
In the bail bond spot.
You know what I'm saying?
In the Korean beauty spot.
Exactly. And you don't think that's strategic? City layout. I looked at the city layout. This is strategic.
Yeah.
They'll have 3.
Hello?
Yeah, you blanked out a little bit, brother.
Did I break out?
Yeah, you're still here. Yeah, keep talking.
No, I was saying, I looked at the city outline of the city, and they basically, it's strategic. They put liquor stores 2 and 3 on one corner for you to have access to poison yourself. For you to have access to kill yourself, because it's a street in Chicago named 79th, and 79th and Cottage Grove. On that one corner, there is a liquor store. This is all on one corner. Liquor store on one side. Currency exchange on the other side. Funeral home on the other side. And a shop to spend money. And I said, wow, you can get all you need right here on this one corner. You go cash your check. Go buy some liquor. Get killed. End up at the funeral home.
Right.
All in one little corner.
Wow. You can have a night to end your life all on one corner.
Exactly. You ain't gotta go nowhere. You can do it all right here. You go out there, spend your check, get that liquor, get killed, and get buried all without leaving. You know what I'm saying? And this is what they do to us, you know? So the churches, the only problem with the church is like a gun without any ammo. Black people that they're willing to gather up and congregate. So it's power there, but guess what? It's not to talk about anything. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
There's no voice in church. You can't speak.
But it's part of the design, though.
Yes,
that's
why they
basically
get
what it is. Like
this,
back in the day, church. Now a church is a 501c3.
That's right. Tax-free money.
The business of Jesus.
And then we're talking about, like, look at even just these federal people. Now, Lance, you could sit back and have all kind of trolls and all these informants and operatives that can sit there and watch your page and everybody else or whatever, but you can't stop those corner stores from selling Lucy cigarettes and not paying taxes on cigarettes, right?
See what I'm saying?
You can sit back in these places. You could sit back and you could go down and talk about building the wall and all this stuff in Mexico or whatever and all this kind of stuff, but you can't stop cracking heroin and meth and everything else coming into these inner cities because it's part of the design.
Mm-hmm.
See what I'm saying? It's just like sucking money out. Because even with church, they don't put anything back.
They don't.
You know, I went in the area. It was a church that's been there over 40 years. The only thing that built up was the church. The area looks the same. There's vacant lots with rocks. People in the community put their money in the church, and the church is like just only taking the money in. There's nothing to show for. So, you know, that's what I'm saying. It's about, they understand this. You know, and besides even this show, where is a place that we can congregate and have these conversations?
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't exist.
Well,
you know,
let me ask you this, okay?
Yeah.
I've been blessed to live in a lot of places in my life,
yeah.
and even live overseas. And one thing I always ask, you know, being from Flint, Michigan, areas and areas that look like where I'm born and raised, right?
Mm-hmm.
And one thing I always see is that, you know, you'll sit back and have, you know, a bunch of people in the community, likely white people, that'll get together, you know, in little towns and communities. They'll sit back, get together, and they'll, quote unquote, hold their politicians accountable. They'll sit back, and not saying that it works for everyone, but I sit back and I see these churches who, you know, they'll run out the pastor who's not trying to sell out or whatever. I've actually witnessed that happen, but they'll run out the pastor who won't sell out. They'll bring some loudmouth pastor in there, like you said, who will build up the church, and everywhere around them, his church is like Atlantic City, and everything else is the surroundings of Atlantic City. But the people aren't holding them accountable.
Right.
Because, and that's my whole thing, is that if, you know, we haven't even understood the basics of strength in numbers. There's always that fear, and I believe the brother was saying earlier, and I mentioned it when we first got on, you got people who are in fear of losing their toys. You don't want to lose your BMW. You don't want to lose your $200,000, $500,000, $600,000 house, so you're silent and let everything happen. But I have this thing about people and accountability. Where are we holding these people accountable? Because you know why? Because as soon as we open up our mouth and mention the wrong that person does, you're going to have I always compare people to the beehive. They're going to come at you like the beehive.
Attack you. Yeah,
and my whole thing is that I'm not saying that person hasn't done, you know, this, for you may have paid somebody's car note. This pastor may have paid a person's rent. But if this pastor's been there for over 20 years and he is pushing a Jag, his wife and his kids are pushing BMWs, at what point do you sit back and say, okay, you know what? Yeah, you've done a few things, but guess what? You could be doing a lot more. And as soon as you open up your mouth and say that, then it's almost like the beehive is after you.
Oh, they are. They'll attack you.
And that's the thing. And it's like, but guess what? You really don't have many people, especially in the Black community, that'll sit there and have your back to say, you know what? Hey, what they're saying. I sit back and watch that crap unfold on TV all the time. Even with the Fox News and all these different news, you have like a person to come out and say, Van Jones is a perfect example. Van Jones would come out and say something, next thing you know, he's being silent because he didn't say what they're agreeable to. Why? Because they're only going to let a few select people say a few select things. You can't have too many.
It's not on their agenda of what they want you to say. Don't have a voice either. We don't have a voice. That's the problem. We don't have a voice. If you watch TV, we can't speak on TV. You know what I mean? There's nothing besides the internet. And when you do, you get like with Brother Lance. You see what I'm saying? Where they're taking your views down, or like you just said. Did you just say Rashawn DeLay? Say Rashawn DeLay, something happened with Rashawn DeLay?
Oh, yeah. Okay. When you said Rashawn DeLay, the way you said it, so it sounded like a woman's name. Like, so it did. No problem. I'm just joking. Yeah, L.A. Kendrick. Look, L.A. Kendrick. Let me just say, I'll get up in the middle of the night to go use the bathroom and end up doing a live show or something recorded. For real. And realize like, dang, I ain't put no clothes on, but you can't see me anyway. But on Rashawn DeLay, for real, so they're naked recording. I love it. Everything's swinging. I do my best segments like that. Let me do it now. No, Rashawn DeLay swinging. You know, and I love it. And I'm gonna tell you something about him. It's just something divine. I ran across his videos and I was fascinated. I must have watched like 15 of them. I was waking up, and when I wake up, I just lay there still until what I should do comes to me. You know, I just lay there. And I know I have certain things to do sometimes, but the other stuff, like, okay, today, Creator, lead me. And before my feet hit the ground, you know, but I got up and I ran across it, and I must have watched like about 15 of them. And I said to myself, I said, I've got to reach out to this brother. Because I knew that, you know, he may not have known all the little technological tricks and stuff. And I said, I can help him some kind of way. We need that. We need that older elder who didn't come up in the church, who came up gritty, who has just the right amount of righteous anger, the right amount of spicy profanity mixed in with a whole lot of truth and courage and not afraid to say it. There's something warm about that. There's something reassuring about that, because he's like that uncle or grandfather or neighbor down the block who tells it like it is where others are afraid. You know?
That's right.
And
that's right.
I said, I got to reach out to this brother. And wouldn't you believe, amazing, the timing, a lot of righteous, and it's not weird now, I'm just saying it for effect, but a lot of weird, good sleep that morning, laying in the bed. Didn't know this brother from Jack other than the videos that I watched, and just discovered of him that morning. My phone rung, man, and he can tell you. I said, hello? Hello, Brother Lance. I said, yes. Man, I've been wanting to get with you for a while. I said, who am I speaking to? You may not know me, but my name is Brother Rasan Delay. I was like, there is a God. There's something going on, y'all. I know, for real. I mean, I know this. See, some people get up and say, well, you know, that's Jesus. That's so praise the Lord. Well, praise him. When you really connected, and yes, none of us are perfect, but there's something bringing us together. The analogy that I like to use is what is it, Terminator 2? Is it? When they had the skinny kind of guy who was metal and he was melting. And I think Arnold Schwarzenegger took a weapon and shot him. Or he was frozen or something, and it broke him up into all these millions of pieces. The Terminator walked away together until they all were attracted to each other, until now that other Terminator came up and became whole again. And this is what's happening with us. Divinely, we're being pulled to each other. Divinely, we're not listening to the false signals that are given. You see, our communications have been hijacked. Whenever you want to damage the opponent, you drop a bomb on their communication center, so they can't talk to each other. So they didn't drop a bomb on us, hijacked it, and took the real out and put in what they want of us. And thank you all for sending your numbers and everything to the new cell phone number, because I have some still logged in and that transferred and some that didn't. I'm like, I don't know. That's them people messed with me again. But now we're rejecting that hijacked voice that doesn't feed us. See, how many times have you, back in the day or even now, community that you grew up in, or where you know people that you've adopted, and you're not driving, you might have walked out, you know, say, I'll leave the car, and you may not have a car and you're coming home. Nonetheless, you're walking down the street, you got 2-3 heavy bags, you can handle them, but you got them, and you want to go on home. You might have to use the bathroom and let off a little water, but it's enough to hold. And you see somebody up on their steps, or you run into somebody in the corner, and you just start a quick conversation. And the conversation is so real and it feeds you so much, you don't realize, it's like, wait a second, it's getting dark out here. Ho, man, we've been out here for 2.5 hours. Then you realize, I gotta pee. And then you cut it. Because whenever something's good, whether it's an urgency physically or even something that pains you, that righteous pleasure center takes over and you don't even feel the pain. Not to get lewd. Knee burns. But what you're doing is so pleasurable, you're like, I know I'm gonna pay for this, but you know, I gotta keep going, do what I'm doing. That rug is tearing my knees up. It's this young lady here. I'm trying to say it without saying it, right? It's the same principle. When something feels so good on that righteous frequency and you haven't been getting it on the norm, no matter what you're going through, it takes you out of. So this is why many of us are so hooked to the television set or hooked to the bad side of the internet, because it takes us out of it, but it's not something that feeds us. And in the end, it leaves us empty.
Right.
But conversations like this don't leave us empty. And you want me to let you in on a little secret, especially Ison and Sister Jasmine. I'm going to let you in a little secret today. I lied and said we're just going to be on for 15 minutes. But I knew when I put a match to that gasoline that anything unrighteous was going to burn down, and it started burning down until we had somebody pick up their phone and call us niggas. So you know that this is a righteous conversation.
Yeah, that was confirmation. That was confirmation.
Yes.
That is confirmation.
It was confirmation. That's right.
They don't like.
You take a swing in the dark, you don't know where the opponent. Boo! You know you hit him. You know you hit him.
When you hear that type of stuff, that means go harder.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Go harder, because it's hitting home somewhere.
Right.
I mean, you don't know who's listening. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Oh, trust me, there's a lot of them listening. We just give it to them. To the point where when they work for the government, they're like, damn it, this is real truth here. But what can we do? We're on the payroll. You know what I mean? And I have had, let me tell you something. I had a brother from New York. I'm not going to blow it up any more than that. I'll just say New York. And every now and then, 3-4 times a year, he'll call me. But the first time he called me, he was like, listen, Lance, yo, we have block numbers. We have numbers that come up with zeros and ones and stuff like that. I've had calls from China, and I've saw all them numbers, and I know what that looks like. But I never had my phone ring. I'm looking, ain't no numbers. What the? Maybe the sunlight's getting into it. Nothing. But I swiped it up, and it was a brother on the phone. Sound professional, Lance. Had to give in, because if he hung up, I couldn't follow him. I had to know who this was. Why are you calling me? You know, I said, there's no number. He says, yes. He says, you'll understand. He says, number one, I work for the government. And no, you're not in trouble, or we're not coming after you. This is a personal call, but I'm on their system. Or the phone that he had is always like that, or something like, some old cloak government type stuff. And he says, I love what you're doing. He says, just know, no, you're not in trouble, but just know that people like you, a dude working a job, you come and do this as a hobby. There are lists, and there are people out there that watch people like you, because they don't like this. This is against what they want. They don't say what they want, but we know what they want, and I work for them. My story is a long story, but in running across you doing my job, I really like what you're doing and all the people that come in and how you do it. It's entertaining. He said, some nights I've had where I felt like, wow, I'm having fun because I'm listening to what you're doing. I'm not saying to big myself up, because he said that there are other people and stuff like that, and that's what they do. And there's other things that he does away from it. It's not like, people say, well, Lance, you're lying. They pay him to watch YouTube videos or live streams. No, but they monitor people. They just don't watch that, but they will check up on people. Now, if I was some dude calling out for somebody's death, live streaming on a public, from the library somehow, tapping in, there are hackers out here that can do stuff like that. The government will always get them. If I was doing stuff on the fringe, I had some black type, with just the eyes cut out, back and all this, they would have got me. But that's what they're there for. But then they're there for people like me too. He was just good enough to call and just say, you're doing good. Just make sure that you don't give them a reason to come after you, because they want to misconstrue everybody's language. So sometimes that's why I make sure I'm understood completely. away without saying it. I'll stop right before where you know, like I always say, 2, 4, 6, 8. If I want to say 10 and I know 10 will get me in trouble, I'll say 2, 4, 6, 8. But I'm not scared of them. I'm really not. It's just that you want to go on, be smart, and take the battle into deep water. That we're in, it's a different atmosphere. In the law, it's like this, and I'm gonna shut up after this. And I always talk about boxing. If I'm 255 or 250 pounds, and I'm fighting somebody who's in shape at 350 pounds, and he's got my same skill set, right? I know the weight he has on him extra, that's not good for me. I've got to make his advantage a disadvantage and take away his strong point and make it something advantageous to me. That's how you battle people. You size up your opponent. I don't want to know how his wind is. If I know he dies out after 4 or 5 rounds, why am I going to fight him? I'm going to stay away from him. I'm going to score points, but I want to take it into deep waters. This is destiny for our rise. And folks don't understand that. This is why they try so hard. This is why a man can take the time in the evening, prime time, and want to call and say nigga like what? We're going to flip out because he said that? That's like smacking Mike Tyson in the face, a little toddler. It don't hurt him. Little toddler trying to kill him. Pow! Mike Tyson, you supposed to hurt me, you cute little boy. You see what I mean? At this point of the battle, is that all you got? It's like Rocky. Is that all you got? Come on with it, huh? Huh? You beat me for 400 and some years? Huh? You discriminate me? You raped us and lynched us? Huh? We're still here. And I'm going to say it like him. Is that all you got? Damn. Y'all are strong. You know what I mean? On so many levels. That's why they come at us so hard. Listener doesn't understand. That's why they come at you so hard. All them little white girl sisters that talked about your butts. And their butts were so flat, you can mail a stamp. They could mail a stamp, put a stamp on it, and jump in the mailbox and travel for 13 cents back in the day. Don't even have to open the mailbox. Just slide on in the slot. And they were making fun of you. Now they're getting injections in their butts, doing kickbacks, doing everything for the butt. Tanning up. Botox.
Sincerest form of flattery, imitation.
Exactly. When I went into
imitates us.
Yeah, when I went into Whole Foods the other day, Mrs. Scurv and I, we're in our 50s. One next week, she turns 53 in June. And you see all up under, I got razor bumps, right? But see no wrinkles under her, nothing, no blemish, no wrinkles, no saggy, nothing. Right. Y'all. See? Mm-hmm. She works out in the garden sometimes 8, 9 hours on the weekend and still gets out in the yard and sweeps. And I'm like, you need to slow down. Right? And the sun and the pure food. But yet now we have Whole Foods and we have these people who it's their fad now. So when we walk in there, they're looking at the niggas like, what are you doing here? This way of eating comes from us, y'all. Where you came up in Europe, you didn't have nothing growing up there. That's why you love evergreens so much. Christmas tree and evergreens. This is us. Don't try to flex on us with what belongs to us. This food is not even for you. You are not even of the sun. Oh, come on now.
Evergreens save their life.
Exactly. And they're in the line. Oh, I just want to say how pretty your skin is. Oh. They love the black woman's skin, all shades of it, the texture. When you see them,
different textures.
Yeah, when I used to drive a Lincoln Town car for a brief time up in New York City, and we had different accounts in the entertainment industry, and there were people who were like kind of almost famous, and that would ride and you take them home and stuff like that. I had to do this a gig with these models. I had to bring on, they had this award ceremony in Midtown Manhattan. And there were all these models that with this agency, and they had a bunch of the Lincoln Town, the black cars, driving you suited up and everything. And the models were going down to the location first, and they were going to put their makeup on. They weren't going to like do it and do themselves and walk in that way. They walked around the back. Models. And what they look like. I was afraid. It was like I had 3 ghouls sitting in the back of my back seat. I was scared. No, I wasn't scared, but it was like, y'all look like aliens. But they didn't have the attitude that when they put their makeup in the heels and sashayed on down, they thought that they were, because the world told them that. But deep down, there were a couple sisters that were there working the event, weren't even models, but they were there in different capacities, like putting on makeup and doing, and they were just plain as can be and even more beautiful. And they looked so, and this is not a sexual statement, this is just a life force thing. They were so juicy. So full of life. These other women were painting on their face like they were a dead corpse. I'm not knocking any of my sisters who may use a little makeup. I'm not knocking that, but they needed it. These white women needed it. They didn't have a face without it. They looked like plain mannequins look better than they did. And so when they look at us and they envy us, they just hate us all the way around. And this may not be everybody or every one of them, but it's there. And I'm bad for saying it. I'm bad for reflecting on what I've experienced in this life. I'm never going to stop talking about my real experiences, and I'll allow others to say their real experiences, and we can all speak on a level of intelligence.
Well, Lance,
yes.
I gotta get ready and go, but I just wanted to number one, please share my number. I enjoyed the conversation with every individual that came in and that's on the line. And number two, I look at life and I use this as analogy. You know, I believe that as people, we must meet people where they are, and we have to sit back and we have to a reality check and get into that uniqueness of having that resistance, because I believe a lot of times there becomes that fine line of you wanting to help someone versus impose your will or your beliefs on another person.
Yes.
I always look at the analogy of seeing a little kid outside playing, and you're walking and they're over there by the tree and they're playing, and you say, hey, would you like to walk with me? And the little kid walks, and you walk and you talk, and you let them talk about what they want to talk. You're there as a mentor. And I believe that at that point, you're not saying, hey, you shouldn't be doing this, or you shouldn't be doing, you're at this age, you need to be doing this. You meet them, you meet them where they are. Because once you get to that higher plane in life, then that's the difference. You're going past just basic knowledge. That's the point of wisdom.
You said, sister, thank you so much for your time. And
thank you.
I didn't really trick you. I didn't really trick you. I just knew we'd go on a little longer than that, and I can't get enough of these. And anytime, and everybody has my number here. Anytime you want to start up one of these, I got all the equipment sitting here. I got the stuff sitting here. You'll utilize it. Even if you say, even if you say, Lance, shut up, don't say nothing, I'll shut up and I'll just be the dude helping out. You know, but
no, it was great. It was great.
Yes.
You know what? And as always, you know, I got your back. So,
thank you.
And
I got yours.
Everyone else, please pass phone numbers. We need to keep in touch.
Yes.
Because this is the way. When I look at it, you know, I think of intercessory prayer. You know, it's one of those things of that's attached to the strength in numbers. You know, people are where they're at, but in the end, the universe have a way of bringing us all together.
Yes.
And I believe as long as we can sit back and meet each other at, you know, where we are and not trying to impose our will on one another, then everything flows. It flows the way it needs to. Beautiful.
All
right. Well, good night, everyone. And I enjoyed the
Good night, Jasmine.
Definitely.
Thank you so much. Okay.
All right. Good night.
Good night.
Good night, Brother Isom. Everyone else, Bernadette, everybody.
All right.
All right. Bye-bye.
All right. That's beautiful. And I'm gonna give another 10 minutes and wrap it down. Sorry for tricking you, Brother Ison. That's the thing with me. Let me tell you something. Friends of mine from back in the day, they're like, I'm with Lance. If Lance pulls up in the car and says, let's take a ride, and this is New York, they're like, man, you might find yourself out in Philadelphia somewhere. I fell asleep in the car and woke up and he was in Washington talking to people and driving around. Yeah, that's the way it is. Avery Walton, how are you, brother? I'm gonna wrap it down, but you know, I want you to kind of, you know, drop whatever's in you, down to whoever else is on the line. And before Wait a second. How long we been on? Wait a second. We've been on for a while, right? I was joking about 4 hours. It's like we're almost in. How much?
It's been at least 2 hours.
At least 2 hours. Yeah. But it was so intense, though. It was so intense. I'm so glad the Caucasian man came in and, you know, added a little drama. I'm glad for that. I hope people hear that kind of thing. I mean, I'm not glad. I'm not a masochistic. Glad the world can see that faction, that this is real.
Right, yeah.
You know?
Real, right.
You know, like when Anderson Cooper was trying to make a real scene when he was in Haiti, like he was bleeding and picked up some, you know what I mean? There's cameras all around. Nobody's ducking, you know, but this is real. This is what we have to go through. I'm so inconsiderate and just assume that, well, I had a black president. It's okay right now. No, it's not okay. And he didn't do nothing for me. You know what I mean? He's your agent.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
If you wanna understand the psychology of white people, you have to look at the movie. It came out in 2001. It's called AI.
Mm-hmm.
And it's starring the boy that played in The Sixth Sense.
Yeah.
Okay, I watched that movie a little while ago. I think I rewatched it last week. Basically, when you watch that movie, you understand why it's almost a psychology on the white mind of why they feel that way, because they're unnatural.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just what it is, you know. I mean, it's not their fault. They can never be natural. And so they have this jealousy, want to be something they can never be. So yeah, that movie is a really good perspective, and it'll kind of give you an idea of why they do what they do and why they can't feel. They can't feel because it's a sensor that doesn't work. You know,
Mm-hmm.
the sensor there
Mm-hmm.
is not. It's just like if you were eating and your the sensor that tells you that you're full. If that didn't work,
Wow.
see what I'm saying? You would just keep eating.
Exactly.
So, yeah, so it's a deficiency in their empathy deficiency, and so as well as other things, you know. But yeah, that explains and just, you know, it really when I watched it, it kind of made me feel bad a little bit when I saw it, because at the end, the kid was he was begging to be I want to be a real boy. I want to be a real boy.
Wow.
And they told him, no, you know, you are what you are. You can't be something that you're not. You're made how you made. So you know, in these movies, they're more than just entertainment. You know, they drop a lot of science and knowledge in these movies, and yeah, and if you really watch them for what they are, you can learn a lot of just about, you know, what's really going on, because they preface it. So yeah, definitely check that movie out. Yeah, it drops on that, you know.
Mm-hmm. Definitely, brother. Yes, I'm gonna wind it down.
Yeah,
but no, I'm gonna let you talk a little more, but I'm just gonna wind it down.
Oh no, I'm done, man.
You good?
I didn't got tired.
Yeah. You see, like just like my friends in New York who said, don't ride with him. If Lance call you up and say you're gonna talk for 10 minutes, you know, get ready to not get no sleep. I would see friends about it, and they're like, nah, Lance, I'm not riding with you, man. Nah. They might need a ride somewhere, like, nah, I'm just gonna walk, man. I'm not going with him. He kidnap you off here somewhere. You know what I mean? Honestly, that's the way it is. And I just thank God for the energy. I just thank God for, you know, the energy that you all give me. You know, it hypes me up. It gives me an outlet, because in that respect, I'm like a young Mike Tyson. See, Mike Tyson would get in trouble if he wasn't fighting every 2 weeks. When he first turned pro, it's like, keep him busy. Now I'm not going to get in trouble, like worldly trouble. But I wouldn't know what to do with all the energy that God has blessed me with, you know, and I have to use that, especially since I explained how I've been blessed to really have a kind of a parting of the Red Sea drop throughout my wildest days, touch me, you know, and to still be able to be here. So it's my responsibility and duty to do something, you know, for that favor. That was a great favor, because I didn't have to be here. I can name off names and rattle off dozens of names of people who are not here right now that I've known in those kind of circles. And it's frightening in a way, but it's an affirmation to know that there's something over my life. And I'm not going to try to sound like a preacher or whatever. There's things I'm still working on, minute things. I'm not perfect, but minute things, tweaking here and there. And life is a learning experience. And, just for the people out there, whatever level you find yourself on, getting better, a degree better today than you were the day before. It doesn't have to be by a big margin. And Facebook and the social media thing could be a good thing, or make it allow you to fall into the trap of comparing your life to someone else's life. That's when we start to go crazy and go wrong. Our path is our path. And as you see in baseball games, basketball games, and even boxing matches, you can be down on points in the whole fight, last round, and get a knockout and still come through the winner. For me, I feel I'm that fighter who came through and got a knockout, and I feel like a winner. Not on a worldly level where I'm pushing my nose up and whatever, because you can never win the materialism game. But just to be at this point in 2017, when I could have easily been killed myself off through my bad and filthy habits in 1987, 30 years ago. You know what I mean? So, wherever you find yourself, you can always move up. Sometimes you have to mentally move yourself away from the environment in which you find yourself as far as the people are concerned around you. Let you or bring the negative energy or block you. If you put your hand over your eyes, you can't see what's in front of you. Sometimes somebody else's hand is over your third eye where you can't see what's in front of you as far as your potential and as far as the things you can do. Change overnight for the good. We have so many things that are put into our mind on the news, the defeated people around us. Not everybody's defeated, but so many of us are dealing with so much. Tendency of wanting to blur the world, how the others view the world, and blurring it for them. So if you have a healthy outlook and a positive outlook, here they come with the comments. Well, it's good to be positive, and I don't know what you're going to school for to learn. You 54 years old. Why you want to do that? You might start a job per se, right? And you have somebody else who's there talking about, well, I'm going to retire soon. I got 25 years. You got a long way to go to catch up to me. Well, Negro, who said I was trying to catch up to you? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. My path may lead me somewhere else. I'm physically here now, but our goals are different. You know what I mean?
Exactly. We need to stop competing. We are not in the position to be competing. Everything that they promote with Black people on TV or anywhere, it's got to do with us competing. We don't come together at all.
Right.
It's an individual. We all live our lives like individuals. And that's really hurting us. You know what I'm saying? Oh, instead of looking at another Black person as, oh, he's a part of me, it's like, oh, I'm comparing what I got with what you got. Or I got to hold you down. Or you can't get your shine on because that'll make me look bad. No, that's one of the reasons, we're in the situation we are. You know what I mean? They have trained us to compete and never come together. And I see this with parents and their children who don't want to see their children do better than them.
That's right.
That's a real thing.
Yep.
It's crazy. So we got to be more together, man. We got to kind of let go of only individualism.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Well, see, Africans never thought. When we say African, somebody will say, well, that dude down the block that drives a cab who's Nigerian, he don't think that way. We're not saying that. When we say Eurocentric and Afrocentric, our core, we're all empaths for each other. We feel for each other. It's not natural for us to look at each other and not want the best for each other. See, it hurts. Have you ever, and I'll say in your infancy, I'm not saying as a toddler, but younger, we do things that are not in our character when we're younger sometime. And there are times when, like, say, for example, maybe 13, 14 years old, I've gotten into a fist fight with somebody. I hit them and hurt them. And they hit me and I was mad. I was defending myself. But later on, I was like, man, I wish I didn't do that. why did I have to do that? This makes me feel bad.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I hit a guy in self-defense one time. It was in 1997. That was the last time. Was it the last time? It was the last time I got into something like that. It was 20 years ago. It was in the street, and he was wrong for what he did, and he got up in my face. And I mean, he really got up in my face, and he had a reputation for doing stuff to people a little bigger than me. I knocked him out. He was out for about 20 seconds, and he got up and crawled across somewhere. And as soon as he hit the ground, I screamed. I said, "Man, why? See, man, why you made me do that to you?" And I wasn't trying to like be funny or trying to. I'm looking at this brother on the ground, and I'm like, man, you know, why couldn't we be? I didn't say it then, but you know, it's the feeling like, why couldn't we be friends? Why couldn't we be together and do something? Why'd you make me do this?
Yep.
And he came back to me the next morning and apologized, and I accepted his apology. First, I'm looking like, you trying to get near me to do something? You know, I still couldn't throw caution to the wind. Him, right? But when I saw, and he was humbled, and I told him, I said, man, right? And I told him, I said, man, listen, sincerely, you know, he did need it.
He needed that.
This was a Nigerian brother, and he was a bully. And this was when we used to drive the dollar vans out in the street. See vans, you hook them up and you run the bus lines and make a good amount of money. Well, we had a line, and a lot of us, you know, honored the line. Like, okay, I got here first. It was my turn, and he drove up with an illegal vehicle in my van. And I told the folks there, I said, listen, you can ride with him. That's your choice. But he doesn't have any insurance. If you get in an accident, you're in trouble. Angry with me. You see what I mean? Then he came up my face on stuff all out in the street. And I don't like that. I really don't like fighting. I like it as a sport. I don't like to really, really, really do it. But I can do it, right?
Right.
So that happened, and I felt bad, and you know, the other worldly guy, oh man, you did, man, that was bad. I said, man, I'm not even glorifying it, because that's still our brother. Hit his head and died. You know what I mean? He could have got brain damage or something or whatever. Nobody wants to have that on their head. You know, so that's why
you don't want to hurt people.
Right. Seriously, you know, you don't, when you look at how we want to be Billy Badass to other people. Like, okay, on my bus, I can get into things and come back and know where these people live and say, hey man, so what's up right now? You said this. I was blessed to be over 50 years old, man. 6 more years, I'm 60. Why am I going to go now? You heard about Scurv? Bullet, man, because he went over this dude's house. You know, why? And then I couldn't be here with my family. You know what I mean? And my wife would be crying and my kids would be crying. I don't want to make my family cry. You know what I mean? I've said that before.
Yeah. And they be hurting.
Exactly.
At a loss.
All for what? Yeah.
This is what goes on.
All for what? Yeah.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I'm going to wrap that down. Black Lion, is there anything you want to say before we go, brother? And Ison.
Well, brother, like I said, man, we gotta start, you know, learn to love ourselves, man, and build ourselves up with the ability nation. And you know, the time now is to stop talking. The time now is to show and prove.
Yes.
And for those that are already there, you know, continue to build yourself, but reach out and start helping to build up others and build that community. Because at the end of the day, we're not gonna do anything by being separative, like the brothers, and that jealousy and envy. You know, that time is done, man. If you see somebody that has something that you like, aside, man, and ask them how did they get to that point. You know, that's not
right.
As we also stated earlier, man, ask that person, and you'd be surprised, man. A lot of people will give you, you know, a merit of knowledge to be able to help you to get to a better situation. But you know, closed mouth never gets fed. That's always a saying. Always will be a saying. If you don't open up your mouth and speak to the next man and look in direction. Because me personally, I believe that there's no such thing as a stupid question. You know what I'm saying? It's honorable. And you got to go ahead and be able to do that stuff, man. Other than that, man, as always, man, love is love to my sisters and salute to my true soldiers, man. And there's only a few of us true soldiers left, man, so we definitely got to stick together. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
I agree with him.
I'm just going to say, Brother Ison, don't be scared when I call you on the phone, man. Don't think, you know, oh, God, he's going to keep me for 4 hours. I do get a lot of folks that call me at night. They're like, man, I can't sleep. Talk, say something. I'm like, good. Come on, let's go. Let's rock.
Right. We need you, Lance, man. Seriously. Like I said, we don't got no outlets, man. You know what I mean?
And I need you too.
Yeah, we need each other. We need outlets like this because, like I was saying, they're fighting each other, having battles, stuff like that.
Avery,
we don't need battles.
Right,
you know I mean?
Battles.
We need battles. We need to be
right.
We need to be. It's and they put it in front of us all the time, like the movie Transformers. Even though I ain't watched the other series of them,
right?
The whole goal is about when they get together,
right?
They are powerful when you get together. But as long as you fighting, you know what I'm saying? And just like Rick Ross and all these other people, I heard Rick Ross just released a new album, and people saying, "Oh, it's great." This is your 9th album,
right?
And you still talking about, I got cars, I got women. Like
I know.
It's like what I'm saying is, how, like, you know what I mean? Like, when are people gonna say, hey, let's talk about something else?
Right.
Hey, let's look at a different. You know what I mean? And stop competing against each other. Do you see white people who are rich songs about their race saying, "Look, I got this. Look,
exactly.
I'm better than you." They don't do that. They bring each other up. You know what I'm saying? And show the rope. When we do something as black people,
you're not allowed to even get into that community unless you have something to bring to the table. You cannot eat.
Right. And as we do something as black people, we run with it, and you see what I'm saying? Instead of saying, "Look, here's a blueprint. Hey, I'm gonna help you. Now it ain't gonna be as hard for you to do it." So instead, you got people like Jay-Z. It's like, "Look, I made it. Now I'm better than you."
Isn't that something? I made it. Now I'm better. And basically, that's what some people go around doing. I'm doing that.
Right. That's a child's mentality in a grown man's body. To say, "Nah, look, I got something you don't." Instead of bringing up the young people and look, I made it, so now I'm gonna make a pathway to make it easier for you, and you are just as valuable as me.
That's right.
So it's look, 50, I got a car, I got a house, and I got bad bitches, and you don't have it.
Right.
That's just like a kid at the playground saying, "Oh, look at me, nah. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I'm saying, when are we gonna grow out of that and go to the next level? That's all I'm saying.
And
Being repeated.
The sick part about it, many of us, something that is not always the reality, and we work so hard on trying to appear like that successful person, that successful on a material level, which that doesn't matter to me, right? Because like I said, in nature, take what you need. If I need 3 mangoes to fill my belly, that's what I need. So I'm not trying to buy up 10 cars. And like I said, an average better car than me, it's our cars now, right? But she drives because she's a woman and I don't want her breaking down. But I drive an old 1996. And like I said,
that's fine.
I can fix the window, but it doesn't catch. So I keep the driver's side up. I just put it up and it stays that way. Everything works. It's mechanically perfect. It runs. Has about 300,000 miles on it. It's 21 years old, right? And I'm going to keep that vehicle, and I hope it lasts, right, until I reach my next level, which is another elevation, which is me really and my wife downsizing, going more frugal. But I only have a 6 or 7 minute commute to my job. I have to get a sports car for that and have to work extra to come and pay that off. And so many people look at Scurv, you can do better than that. Yes, I could. I got good credit. That's not even saying that, but there was a time I didn't. But I'm not stupid with that because
that's not doing better.
Exactly like Brother Dusty, the call. Wants to do a conversation called "Credit is the New Jim Crow." See. So I'm not. They keep giving you. You keep paying. You're making your payments plus extra if you have something on credit. Yeah, take more. Because you take more, you fall deeper into the hole. And I want to go deeper on that topic. And I want to bring people who are specialists who know about this and know the tricks and all. And it's really common sense and focus and discipline. But we need to talk about all these different aspects of things. And this is why people like the little troll that called in, we're revealing the tricks. How is it that we can have, and people, and I'm going to go after this, right? But I have to say this one more thing. Down here in Orlando, and I want to know in other parts of the country if they have this also. I couldn't believe it. We have places here called Rent-A-Rim.
Yeah.
Rent-A-Rims. Rent-A-Rims is never us owning those type of establishments, but like you have the Florida Classic, the game in November, I think the week before Thanksgiving. The whole big build up and the teams that play and people come into town, and it's a black thing basically. And so the guys get their little old Chevy Caprices and put the crazy bubblegum paint jobs on it and Snickers and McDonald's, and they got these old rusty rims, but they rent those rims for that weekend and jack the car up high, put their house speakers in the trunk, and they driving around with a monkey suit on and the glasses and, you know, just playing. And the women, it's not even a college wholesome thing. It's just like super ratchet. And everybody's looking at each other. Everybody's broke. Everybody's broke and fronting. And the Rent-A-Rim man is making money. Renting rims.
Yep.
Paying money to rent rims to front. You know, to act like whatever. And you better hurry up and bring them bad boys back. And you spent that money. And usually it's on a buy here, pay here car. Which if you have to go that way and you make bad decisions, your credit's messed up, if it's something of survival and you're a woman that have to go to a night shift where you can get a car, fine.
Mm-hmm.
But why are you a dude who really doesn't live too far from your job? You can get on a bicycle if you have to, but you go to a buy here, pay here joint, and you get a Mercedes-Benz or a Jaguar, BMW. You know how much you're paying on that?
They don't care.
And then they hide in their face 2 months later when they couldn't make the payments. And when they get that car that's not theirs, they looking for me. Beep, beep, beep. Yo, man, I'm doing it, man. I'm doing it big, yeah. No, you're not. Because it's on a lot that's counting your money, he's the one doing it big. Because he's going to the bank to put something in. And half the time you don't even have a bank account to even take something out or a savings somewhere. Oh, man, I'm getting fired up. Let me let y'all go. I'm going to do some recordings tonight or maybe go downtown. You got me hyped, man. I got more energy now than when we started the conversation. But listen, y'all, it's been wonderful. And it's always a wonderful experience. And this is what fuels me, man, to have you guys and my sisters in my corner this way. Even when we don't always understand or agree with it, you help to lift me up. But so far, we've walked in agreement. And if not, it's a learning experience. And I love learning, and I'm never above that, and I don't know everything. And I salute all of you here, and just much love. World, making my life, and just helping me out, because if it wasn't for you guys, I'd really be bugging Mr. Scurv all the time. Get away from me, go to sleep, just go talk, go do a show. I want to sleep. No, I'm just playing. So listen, y'all, I'm going to say it like this. Download the LanceScurv app at the Google Play Store, the App Store, and the Amazon Store. Subscribe to the channel. Share the links. Hit me up, 407-590-0755. That is the only number I have left. The other two numbers I got rid of. You know, trying to live a little frugal here, below my means. 407-590-0755. Like I said, subscribe to the channel. Download the app. And if you have a topic you want to speak on, call, let me know. ScurvMedia@gmail.com, ScurvMedia@gmail.com. You know, I take those two. If you're out of the country, you can call me on WhatsApp, download WhatsApp, and I'll pipe you in right to a show. So if you're anywhere in the world and you can't get through and you're worried about long distance charges, you ain't got to pay a dime to get on the LanceScurv show, wherever you are, China, Argentina, South Africa, Czechoslovakia, I don't care, Iceland, you know what I mean? Just don't call me nigga now, I'll come up there and get you. and expect some more work for me tonight, tomorrow. We're just gonna go through this whole week and just burn it through. I'm loving you all. You all have a good night, right? Take care, Sweet Berry, Nicole, Avery, everybody else. John Rosenbert, you came on late, but we're gonna do this open forum all the time. We'll make another list that way. Melanin Queen, you just came in. Did you? Might have been here already. Peace out, y'all. All right.
All right.
I mean it this time. Bye-bye, y'all. All right.